So, as before, you're going to be in a different reality for most of this evening, in character. Your own reality in your own home is up to you, and no decisions or judgments will be made on anything you're taking over the course of the evening. The reality of the cyber papacy is one of contrasts. It is, of the realities invading Earth, it is by far the most technologically advanced. But in other ways, it's one of the most backward and controlled realities, because unlike the works of Gibson and other aficionados of the cyberpunk milieu, it is not corporations that have risen to the fore to control society. It is an all-encompassing church which dictates that cyberware is the flesh of the divine, and that the embracing, all-encompassing acceptance of technology is the single true path to godliness. And its world laws fulfill some of these. Firstly, the law of the one true way is prevalent in the cosm. Jean Malraux, the Pope of the cyber papacy, the Vicar of Christ as he likes to call himself, quotes that the stairway to God is technology, and many are eager to ascend. Cybernetic conversion is a form of communion, and wondrous machines provide everyday miracles for the poor and displaced within the cyberpope's reach. The overwhelming rewards granted to the faithful quickly overcome most dissent and convert those of other sects or religions. Of course, plenty of Muslims, Jews, and Hindus, and people of other faiths in the cyber papacy, but they tend to either leave the area, undergo conversion, or stay quiet and practice their faith in private. The most powerful mixture of doctrine and technology unites most citizens of the cyber papacy into complacency with some of the regime's more draconian measures, and it provides the basis for some of the cosm cards in the cyber papacy, going by the names such like God in the Machine and Mandatory Upgrade. However, Theo is Catholic, Roman Catholic generally, or any other standard, baseline, normal religion within France. And I think Catholic or Roman Catholic or Christian is a choice you can make. The world law that has a mechanical effect within the bounds of the reality is the world law called the world law of the one true way, which has a single overarching effect. Any miracles invoked from an other religion than the cyber church count as contradictions, which, if you remember, essentially means if you roll really low, you can become disconnected from reality. Yes, you are. You're pagan, essentially, Ariel. You're a Wiccan. Now, what this means is, even if, because you will get, you realize this, Helen, your character is going to get miracles of faith, okay? As with spells that have a minimum magic axiom they need to work, miracles have a minimum spirit axiom that they need to work. And even if the cyber papacy's spirit axiom is high enough to support your miracles, it's still a contradiction. Okay? Now, before Gaz thinks he's going to get away with that because he's going, I'm pagan, I'm a witch, I'm not going to use miracles. The second world law in the cyber papacy is the law of heretical magic. Malraux believes sorcery is literally a tool of the devil, and his cosm reflects his single-minded will. He's never managed to purge magic's presence completely from his reality, though, and in fact, the more he castigates those who practice witchcraft and sorcery, the stronger it seems to become. He may not be able to eliminate heretical magic, but he can punish it. And the main consequence of this, as you can see on the cosm card, is that there is an increased presence of demons and harsher backlash effects within the cyber papacy. There are cosm cards like Heretical Magic and Malraux's Wrath, which they combine to make life extremely difficult for magic users in the cyber papacy, despite its relatively high magic axiom, much higher than core Earth's, for example. And to survive, witches and warlocks have turned to technology of their own. The Hexa series of implants provide some protection from that hate, and more powerful devices can even redirect that energy. However, the main rules effect, if you miscast on your roll a mishap when you're casting a spell, you'll gain an additional 1 bonus dice damage of shock in addition to what you normally take. Now, Gaz, you've not played a spellcaster before. Do you know what normally happens when you either fail to cast or get a mishap on a spell?
I do not know.
Tell you now. Basically, casting a miracle, casting a spell, if you fail, you get some
Is
shock
that a roll
anyway.
of 1?
No, a fail is each of them have got a difficulty number. So if you fail to attain the difficulty number in the first instance, you take 2 shock.
Just a fail?
Just to fail, you take 2 shock.
Crap.
On a mishap, on a roll of a 1, you're also very stymied. So that's the -4 to do anything until the end of your next go. So within the cyber papacy, you take 2 shock plus 1 bonus dice of shock, and you're very stymied on a roll of 1 for magic. Okay. Now, all that happens to Skellen on a fail, he takes 2 shock, and on a mishap, he just gets very stymied, but he will also disconnect because of the law of the one true way. The last world law, cyber papacy, is the law of suspicion. You can imagine, essentially, you've got a 23rd century Spanish Inquisition in charge within the cyber papacy. So all of the mistrust and hatred that might come with that period of Earth's history of the Spanish Inquisition is entirely rooted within the everyday life of the cyber papacy. Except in addition to all of that, everything technologically minded is potentially monitoring your very actions. So things like trial by ordeal is a way of life and is actually part of church law within the cyber papacy. It's intrinsic truth inherited from its source cosm. Combat matches are fought to the death between the accused and cyber priests' chosen champions. Holographic images of trials are projected by the church for education and entertainment. And the atmosphere of constant wariness, and mistrust created by this law produces cosm cards like denounced, heightened paranoia, and wanted. So, with that being said, you're all residents or visitors, in a couple of people's cases, of the French city of Orange. Now, Orange is in southeastern France. It's a quiet rural town, population of around 30,000 people. It's an old city. It's been around for a number of centuries. It has narrow streets, restored facades. I'm not sure if they actually grow oranges. I suspect they probably do in Orange. I'm not sure if the word's actually related. And it gives the impression of an old-fashioned village. Lots of winding lanes. Notably, several ancient Roman structures survive, including the triumphal arch into town and a large restored amphitheatre. So imagine like a 1/3 scale equivalent of, I'm saying it, I can't remember the thing, in Rome. It's called the Colosseum. And it lies 30 kilometres to the north of Avignon, which is a famous tourist destination in France, known for its palace and its large cathedral. Avignon's main claim to fame was as an alternate Vatican during an historical schism in the Roman Catholic Church. The Avignon Schism, essentially. Was it the, no. Anyway, you can check it up. I can't remember exactly my history at this point. The skies to the south have been dark and stormy since yesterday evening. Strange lightning flashes and threatening winds have blown through the streets of Orange in gusts. The air itself feels charged with static electricity. The mood in the town has been nervous. I mean, the storm has looked strong enough to cause problems. But what has really set people on edge was the prophecies of a strange priest who passed through town about a month ago, who was making wild proclamations about the end world. Most of what he said sounded like lunatic ranting. Dragons, demons, and nightmares, he predicted, would appear to punish the world for its hubris. All this devastation would be preceded by terrible, unnatural storms. No one really believed his ravings, but he did become the gossip of town for weeks. Starting late last night, though, there have been sporadic power outages. Internet and mobile phone communications have been down for hours, and such things happen. But the strange storm to the south has reminded the town of the priest's words. And everyone is on edge, though no one wishes to admit it. Adrienne, Darcy, and Rain all rushed into town earlier this morning to run errands and to grab supplies before the storm arrived in full force. At this moment in town, you are all out looking for your overdue loved ones because it's been about 6 to 7 hours. And those of you, you know each other through your mutual connection. And you've met up to trade updates. No one spotted anything thus far, and phone service is still out. So you'll happen to have gathered at the same place, although you're not gathering together. So Theo, for example, you've gathered to catch up with Ariel to see if she's got any information about Rain. Harlequin, Camille, you're trying to track down Darcy, and Chloe, you've just gone to the one place you think other people might be around because, I mean, you've never met this Mandel guy, but maybe other people have seen your brother in and around town. I mean, you are local. It's not a big place, so people do know one another. So please go ahead and tell me what you're doing or interact with each other accordingly.
Just before we start, what gender is Darcy?
Darcy's a young girl, daughter.
Okay, doesn't say.
Well, Darcy's okay. It's a feminine name, trust me.
Nope,
Okay.
it's a male name.
No, it's not.
Yep, it is.
Mr. Darcy
Yeah,
is
exactly.
his surname.
Oh, no.
Yeah, still the most famous Darcy in the world, right?
Yeah, but that's his surname.
Yeah,
Darcy Bustle is a
in
woman.
Ireland, Darcy's a male name.
There's Darcy Bustle. She's female.
Mm-hmm. That's the only Darcy I could think of. That was a forename. But yeah, she's a girl.
Okay.
And of course, I mean, you decide if you know each other, but the two that do know each other, Camille and Harlequin, you actually do know each other as well. Through
Right.
Darcy, but possibly through other means as well.
So whereabouts are we now? Are we like walking down the
You're
street
probably
or-
gathered at a street cafe somewhere just off centre of town. Again, the roads in town aren't particularly wide. You can generally get one car down them at the best of times. So there's a pretty convoluted one-way system. But the storms kept a lot of people off the road, or the thread of the storm, I should say, seemingly kept a lot of people off the roads. So it's quite quiet at the moment.
Okay. So I imagine we might be sitting opposite this Harlequin person.
Possibly.
And I'm sort of looking at is Harlequin male or female? Or
You're not entirely sure.
Okay, why? I'm looking at them sort of very suspiciously, saying, so Ugly Queen, I say, making air quotes. Is this where you last saw my Darcy?
It's talking to you, Direk.
Hello?
Sorry? Literally was not paying attention.
Well, of course you're not paying attention. You stupid. well, I don't know.
Just repeat what you said. I was actually thinking about Darcy too much. I wasn't listening.
So Harlequin does a sort of pardon. Obviously, their mind was elsewhere.
Okay, I sort of snap my fingers in front of their face. Is this anywhere near where you last saw her?
Don't know.
Don't know. Well, why are we here then? I guess that is a mystery. Yeah,
It's probably a cafe that Harlequin, Darcy frequented, but you looked here about an hour ago. She wasn't here. I mean, the last thing you know is she was literally running to the store in order to get some supplies. So the power kept going out, so she very fastidiously wrote down a list: candles, drinking water. Shouldn't have taken her more than 3/4 of an hour. You've checked at the store. The owner hadn't seen her. Also, you find out that a lot of people in the local area have had the same idea, and he is completely out of candles, drinking water, tinned food. So you've spent probably the last hour or so going to the various convenience stores you're aware of in the local area. Again, at each one, there's been no sign. This is probably the furthest point you've gone to. It's pretty much the same story for the others. Rain and Adrian, they went out to get supplies. It's the same thing. Your local shops, the places closest, didn't have anything. So Ariel's trying to get Theo's attention. And we're not hearing Skellen.
Sorry, yes, I am indeed Theo, Rain's cousin.
Sorry, just having a mouthful. Just finishing
You
my.
guys just can't get the comms together this evening, can you? It must be the disruption in the air. It's a very static electric field, as I said earlier. It's
I just need badgered.
And you must be Ariel. I've heard of you. Rain said you are lovers.
Oui. Have you seen him?
Have I seen?
He just popped out.
Yeah, you weren't with him this morning. You had planned to get in touch, but your issue, Skellen, is all morning you've been trying to get hold of Adrian, but you've been getting no signal on your phone, no service. I mean, at one point you even went to try a landline, which worked, but you were then getting no response on Adrian's mobile number.
Yeah, it is madness. Nothing is working. I cannot get in touch with him. I've got a feeling Theo's going to get decidedly more stoic as the night goes on.
Well, he's gonna start out as a South of France and then slowly
his way
become
north.
Remy and then make his way north and become like West Country.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You're all,
Was I with him before?
this morning you were.
Theo, I was okay.
Yeah, he left you in a warm bed.
With a cup of tea.
Well, he'd promised to come back with supplies and a coffee and croissant.
I
And he
just left
didn't
him earlier
come
this
back.
morning. He popped into shops to get some supplies.
He cannot get far, but ordinarily I would not be worried. But all these disturbances with the mobile phone, it makes me worry.
As you're comparing notes and Chloe's looking around just on the outskirts of the small group that's gathered, there's a flash in the sky to the south. The ground shudders slightly, and the far off loud peal of an almighty thunderclap maybe about, you've got the whole 1,000, 2,000. It's about on the 4,000 after the flash breaks the silence across the sky. But immediately following it, a palpable wave of energy passes through your group. Anybody with a mobile phone, whether it's in your hand or in your pocket, it immediately buzzes. And it's the buzz that you have set up to inform you that an upgrade is ready. You grab them out and you can immediately see you've got full bars of signal all of a sudden. But the screen on the phone is locked with a message in. It's a bit, the script is one you've not seen before, and it's a little bit anachronistic to see it on a phone. Somebody's written the phrase "upgrade in progress, GodNet installing" with a progress bar underneath, but it's the sort of text you'd find in a sort of a King James Bible.
Oh, I was about to suggest it was Comic Sans.
No, it's not Comic Sans. It's enlightened text.
Oh,
Only takes about 5 seconds to complete, and then your phone ding, and a news scroll that you've not recognised before appears on the display with messages scrolling up in the same font, slightly more subdued and less flourished, with things like "Remain calm" and "Emergency town hall meeting happening at the Roman Theatre." Hang on.
It says, hang on. Oh, we're waiting for
Now,
Sorry.
before we do anything else, we will now give everybody their Destiny deck cards. So get ready to drag things across. And more importantly, your Cosm card. So, to begin with, Theo, you are on the left-hand side on my screen, so you get the first 4. You have, and tell me on the first one. Can you see that?
Willpower 8.
Yes.
Excellent. So you get willpower, hero, siege initiative, and action. Remember, until you get your moment of crisis, you have no possibilities to spend. And that includes cards that are acting as possibilities. So hero card, drama card, and the like, you can have them, you just can't spend them yet. Harlequin,
Yep.
you
Ready.
get. Actually, I'll do the Cosm card as well for Theo first. Theo, your Cosm card is denounced. Have a read of him in a minute. Harlequin gets Second Wind, Connection, Idea, Coup de Grace. And your Cosm card, no, you're only getting 4, you're not in the Nile Empire today. Mandatory Upgrade. Chloe, Leadership, Master Plan, Opponent Fails, and Supporter. And your Cosm card is La Résistance. Camille, Hero card, Adrenaline, Reality Surge, Willpower. And your Cosm card is Heightened Paranoia. And Ariel, Romance, Coup de Grace, Inspire, and Alertness. And your Cosm card is Heretical Magic.
Oh no, that sounds like it could be bad for me.
Well, if you read it, we'll do the Cosm cards. We won't go over the others, you know those. Heretical Magic. Play immediately when drawn. What we're going to do, we'll play this once there is somebody in the group with magic, or at least somebody has transcended. So, play immediately when drawn. The first player character who rolls a mishap while casting this spell summons a minor demon. All Storm Knights gain 2 possibilities after it is defeated. So we're ignoring the last line of, if there are no spellcasters in the group, discard and draw a new Cosm card. Because we're a little bit ahead of ourselves on that one currently.
So whose is that one?
That was
Mine.
Gaz's. Yours was denounced. So heightened paranoia, which was the one that I think Badger got as Camille.
Yep.
Play in a populated area. People there are on high alert. Intimidation, persuasion, and streetwise tests are hard, i.e. a -4 until a glory card is played in that area. A mishap when using any of these skills alerts the church police. Once played, all players gain 1 possibility. Terry got Le Resistance. The resistance comes to the hero's aid. This might bring allies to a fight, distract church police from pursuing the Storm Knights, or provide information, items, or other resources to the team. Harlequin, you got mandatory upgrade. An ill-timed upgrade or glitch causes a piece of Tech 26 technology to malfunction and fail for the remainder of the scene. If the item belongs to an ally or Storm Knight and the target, gain 1 to 3 possibilities based on the severity of the loss. So bear in mind, Durak, you can play that once you encounter enemies with Tech 26 stuff to cause their stuff to glitch.
But I don't get the possibilities for that, though.
But you don't get the possibilities. It's useful when you do. Denounced. A non-player character is mistrustful of another player character. He watches closely and is suspicious of everything. Unless convinced otherwise, by the end of the scene, he betrays, denounces, or reports the accused. You haven't met any non-player characters yet. Your hero and the targeted Storm Knight gain 2 possibilities. Now, note there, you get to choose which NPC it is and who the suspicion is against. It does not necessarily have to be against your character.
Oh, I know who that's going to be.
I have no idea.
Question for you.
Yes.
Is there the one that Gaz got? I can't say
Heightened paranoia or heretical
No,
magic?
Heretical magic. It says
Gaz's one.
it has to be played immediately.
Normally it would do, but you normally wouldn't get a Cosm. You wouldn't be getting Cosm cards until you were Storm Knights, but it's part of the day 1.
Oh, okay. Because of the second part, triggers if there's no spellcasters in the group, and they can't be spellcasters yet. So I was wondering, did you get
just
card?
that? I'm just ignoring that last line
Okay.
for the purposes of the day 1 scenario. Is all.
So once he triggers into the
It'll kick off.
special, it'll
Yep.
kick off. Okay, good. So
And it's the usual thing. Your moments of transcendence will occur once you take a conscious choice to do something above and beyond what is normally expected, heroic and in resistance to invading realities. Okay?
So if I just go, Camille, I'm rescuing you, and jump on top of her and go, I saved you.
There's no actual threat just yet.
Damn it.
So, the messages popped up on your phones. I mean, the news feed is continuing to scroll up. Messages to a similar effect. I know that Chloe went, remain calm. What the hell do they mention? Well, the message immediately following it, which is the emergency town hall, will be taking place at the Roman Theatre. Now, you know that that is called the middle of town. It's a huge open seating amphitheatre, well known to all of you. What are you doing in response to? Well, your phones are now working.
Oh, hurry down there. I will anyway.
I'll
Wait, are
probably
you sure it's safe to go? Do you think rain might be there?
Well, I'm sure it's safe. It's something happening, a community event. We must. So it's happening.
I don't like the thunderstorm. It's bad news.
Kerry, you click redial on your phone, trying to get hold of Adrienne again. It briefly connects, and then there's a service outage message, and in normal technical text or technical font, it's you've basically got apologies, phone systems undergoing upgrade. Network connection will be restored shortly.
I guess that happens to the rest of us who try to use their phones to call
If you
someone,
try
isn't it?
to make a phone call out, that is indeed what happens. If you've got news feeds and everything else, if you browse your news feeds, they're working. For example, if you've got the French equivalent of BBC News on there, you are getting national and international news getting fed through to your phone. A few disturbing headlines amongst that. apparently, I mean, you guys didn't encounter this in the last 24 hours, but elsewhere in Europe, there are reports of demonic attacks across Eastern Europe and Western Europe. Some reports within France itself. In fact, anyone that's looking, you see a report that apparently the French government buildings were attacked and it was a bloodbath. And this was last night. And the reports are that literal demonic entities did this. I mean, if Theo looks at that, you are seeing the biblical descriptions of these things being listed there. There are apparently reports of a plague devastating Asia, like the Far East. There's some kind of natural disaster taking place in America, just powers out in huge swathes of the country, and communications is completely down. India is still suffering a communications blackout. There have been earthquakes in England, Finland, and Norway. And there's some very confused reports of some kind of military coup taking place in Egypt. So with that, Theo and Ariel begin to move away from the group. What's Chloe, Harlequin, and Camille doing?
What is stealing and all that stuff skill-wise?
It's just off decks, or you could do lock picking, that sort of thing.
I was just wondering because my character's story says she's got all these skills, but I don't see them, like hacking bank tills. I don't have science, and so I was just...
That would just, you'd roll off mind or something like that. So I wouldn't worry about that.
Shall we go to this thing that I've forgotten the name of? Roman, whatever.
Why not? What would we do?
Theo and Ariel, you've got no more than about 20 feet away from the cafe, heading towards the auditorium. The rest of you, you've literally just started to either sit up out of your seats, in the case of Harlequin and Camille, or in Chloe's case, you're just on the verge of deciding where to go. Should I stick with this group? When from each of your phones and from the sky above, there is a perfect, clear, clarion cry of trumpets. And I mean, in each phone, it is perfectly synchronized. And a clear voice emanates from overhead and your phones in angelic French. And it cries out, "Peace be with you. An emergency meeting is occurring right now at the Roman Theatre. Please proceed there immediately in an orderly fashion. Do not fear. Salvation is at hand." And while you're distracted hearing it from your phones, you look up into the sky, and there are about 5 or 6 sky blue cherubim flying overhead.
Do I see these cherubim?
You do indeed. And they are, apart from their sort of pale sky blue coloration, they are the Michelangelian representation of cherub. Chubby, happy-faced babies with angel wings.
Well, this is obviously a miracle. Theo falls to his knees and weeps at the coming of the Lord, throws his hands in the air, and... Yes,
cool. I would give you a possibility. Actually, yeah, okay, that's good. Yep, that's good enough for you. I was about to give you a possibility, and if it's good enough to give you a possibility, it's good enough for that.
You do something else.
Uh-oh.
Right. So, you gain 2 perks. What you basically feel, Theo, is as you fall to your knees, 2 feelings overcome you. The first one is just from the depths of your soul, just an upsurge and an upswell of just spiritual certainty and belief kicks in. you suddenly find yourself feeling spiritually closer to your Lord than you've ever felt before. However, with it, there is almost instantly an underlying feeling of, no, there's something wrong here. What you're feeling in yourself is as pure and as true a spiritual feeling as you've ever felt in your entire life. It's greater than your first day at the seminary when you were called to the cloth. So that you can trust. But something about what's around you, you just feel isn't right. So your axioms change because you are no longer of core Earth. You have transformed to the cyber papacy reality. But there have been no physical transformations as you've done that. You've got the same whatever outfit you were wearing before. But you have gained the perks Conviction and Miracles.
Yay.
Conviction essentially means you suffer one less shock from a failed miracle casting. And the Miracles perk means you gain the Miracles Healing, Repel, and Ward Enemy. And you have also gained the Reality skill at 2 ads. Do you have access to the PDF so you can get your own details for Miracles, yeah?
Sure. Oh, no.
What did you do with the PDF?
I'll have a look, hold on.
We've got them to hand anyway if you need it.
Okay.
Ariel, you just saw that.
He hasn't grown any cyborg parts then.
Doesn't appear to have done.
Okay. But so, do I see an actual change? Like, does it like a glow or anything like that, or is it imperceptible?
There's a change in. Something has changed about him. He seems more than he was before. You've been since you've been in a relationship with Rain. He's spoken about Theo to you, and you were aware of his crisis of faith. And when you met him this morning, you could see there was that slight brokenness. There was a man who had lost something that he cared about deeply. When you look into the eyes of the man that's now on his knees praising the Lord, that's gone. That uncertainty, that doubt, that the emptiness you could see behind his eyes isn't there anymore. He does seem to have, just even in this instant, a renewed conviction that he didn't have before. But yes, Harlequin, that is correct. You can, as a non-believer, you can certainly make that statement if you wish.
Oh, we did it. Oh.
Yeah.
I've got actually
By the
nothing.
way,
I've got nothing.
they were flying overhead towards the Colosseum, towards the amphitheater.
I have nothing on me to change, have I? Watch
Doesn't
this.
appear your stuff appears normal at the moment.
so
Whatever
it's
just
just-
happened to Theo does not appear to have happened to anyone else just yet.
That's not what I meant. Their phones changed. I was asking.
Well, no, they didn't change. They activated. They
okay.
reactivated. They're the same phone. It's the same phone model they had before.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like the way that some of the other games we had, like things that turned into funny weapons and stuff.
Not yet.
Okay.
Nothing like that's happened to anyone just yet.
Okay. I had an Apple Watch now. It may have changed.
Mainly because Theo hasn't checked his equipment.
My equipment. I've only got 2 things.
You do. And your phone appears to be fine. However, as you stand up, you notice the absence of a familiar weight at your hip. It's the one thing that you kept on you despite your lapse of faith. Your Bible, which was a relatively hefty affair, sort of an A5 sized, 1.5 inch thick, leather bound tome, of the word of the Lord that you kept on your hip with you at all times, is now not there. There is something there. It appears to be about the same size, flexible, and see-through, apart from the lit words in sort of slightly raised holographic text on its cover. It's the same words that are on the cover of your Bible.
Oh, it's just I'll flip through it. Is it the Bible?
And you pick it up, and you seem it's responding. You're not touching it. You move your hands over the top, and you seem to know instinctively how to do so. And it is clear, slightly raised, holographic text, and it is the full text of your book, including, bizarrely, handwritten annotations that you've put in your own copy over the years that are still in their place. Think of the best annotated PDF version you can think of, and then upgrade it a little bit.
I don't know what to think. This is it is amazing. It is wonderful.
Well, what is it?
I do not know. Obviously, the Lord has chosen me for some task.
Noted, Harlequin. Obviously, this has probably stopped your group, if only for a couple of minutes. But enough time, when you look up and you start paying attention to around you, you can see people beginning to leave their houses. Most people being a bit dazed and looking a bit shocked and alarmed, but following in the direction that the heralds have flown. Gathering, murmuring between themselves, but otherwise slowly walking in a calm fashion in lines towards the amphitheatre. General confusion and lots of faces of concern. Nobody is reacting the way Chloe did, quite loudly, but you can hear the sort of the general under their breath muttering of what's going on. We don't know. Is it like happening elsewhere? We don't know. Just generally that confused concern going.
That means I can't do what I was going to do then.
What were you going to do?
I was going to do Streetwise, but then you just told me they didn't know anything, so we don't need to do it. They just said they didn't know anything.
Mm-hmm. But you can see everyone that you can see does appear to be going in the same direction. Doesn't mean you guys have to, but it's up to you what you do.
Can I go over to Theo and try and persuade him to let me have a look at his Bible?
You can try. Go ahead and talk to Theo.
Hello, Theo. I know we haven't met before, but may I have a look at your new Bible?
Of course, it is the true word of the Lord.
Okay, and I want to have a look at it and then start pressing.
I should read it to you. It comes much better from one who's qualified in the verse.
No, I didn't want to read it. I wanted to look at it.
I have the perfect passage for you.
Literally, as you're doing that, it's moving, and the passage you were thinking of, or that you wanted, shows up on the device.
I'll begin to read to Harlequin, encouraged by Harlequin's newfound faith.
There are 2 or 3 indexed sections to the right of it, which say, try these sections to convert the unfaithful.
I'm game for it to try to convert Harlequin. It's obviously my chance.
So the priest obviously hasn't taken you exactly at your intended word, Harlequin, and he is proceeding to proselytize at you. He sounds quite convincing. What was that for? Oh, that's for you convinced.
Just a general proselytizing.
You're not particularly swayed by his words. Or are you? What are you doing?
Oh, I didn't think the skills worked on each other, so that's why.
Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. You made a roll, but I just want to know what you're doing in reaction to that.
Groaning at the idiocy of this person in front of me.
What was the intent behind your desire to look?
I wanted to look to see if I could find the all these devices have got like wee menus. You go into the settings and change stuff. So I was just going to go through there and have a look and see what I could change on it.
Okay. Obviously, he's now instead he's talking to you about it, but you're close up enough to have a look. At this moment in time, with cigarette smoke rising from Camille in the background, give me a mind roll, please, Harlequin.
I was about to double click mind, and I forgot that doesn't work this way.
Yep.
Yay! My rolls are as usual as normal. There we go. I got
Okay.
4.
You're interacting with a device that is above both your and the local reality. No, it's above your tech axiom. It's not above the local reality's tech axiom. So it's not a disconnect because you needed a 1 for that. You can't make head nor tail of it. There's no moving parts. It literally appears to be a A5 piece of slightly flexible perspex, yet it is projecting light about 3 millimeters above its surface.
It's fine. I'll get my own one and walk away. Where would you buy one of these ones, I wonder?
We'd have to find the equivalent at a bookshop.
Ooh.
Okay. Camille notices that, sees Harlequin go away, and she looks at the now idle priest and says, "So, Father, are your people somehow behind this? Some sort of PR stunt?" No.
That was to you, Skellen.
Sorry, I missed what you said. Repeat that,
She's wondering if your people, the Catholic Church, is somehow behind this.
I do not think the church is behind it, more the Lord himself has certainly placed me here for a reason. I was having a crisis of faith. And
I am sure it is very exciting. She says and blows smoke in your face.
People, while you're talking, people are streaming past you now. Again, not in huge numbers. It's not a big place, but they're going past you. So there's less and less people on the street as more and more people head past you. Apparently, Durek's finding it difficult to understand your French accent.
Okay.
You notice that while you can see heralds still flying off in the distance, you see 2 or 3 peel off and go back, and they fly back across, issuing the same message over the next minute or two. And are you moving on, or are you staying put?
Well, I'm going to the community meeting. There should be egg and cress sandwiches and cake.
So Theo's continuing on. Ariel, are you accompanying Theo?
I will carry on. Still want to see.
Okay. Harlequin, you already said you were moving off, but were you moving off in the direction everyone else was, or with a different plan in mind in a different direction?
I have a different plan in motion. I won't be going into the arena, but I'll be watching who's all going into the arena.
So you're heading for, but not going in at this moment in time.
Yeah, because I think maybe Darcy will head there, and if I can see her from the outside.
Okay, good.
I think it's a big con, because that's my skill set.
Okay, Camille, are you doing something similarly suspicious? Okay.
Yeah.
Chloe, what are you doing?
Probably panicking and running away.
In what direction? In the same way as everyone else, or in a different direction?
I don't know. In a different direction, yeah. It doesn't seem natural somehow.
No, there are strange things going on. It is quite strange. As you peel away, I mean, you lose sight of everybody else. You've been running for a few minutes, and there's just a light trumpet sound, and you find yourself stop still at the running, and you look around, and then you look up, and you hear the gentle beating of wings, and this angelic-looking baby just alights about 8-9 feet in front of you, holds out its arms, smiles beatifically, and repeats the message, but with the end of, "Do not fear, salvation is at hand. Are you perturbed?"
I throw my phone at it and duck around the corner.
You throw your phone. Okay. Give me a thrown weapons check. Yeah. You throw at it. The phone arcs towards it, and it just pirouettes beautifully out of the way, and you duck around a corner. When you're around the corner, are you continuing to run, or are you hiding?
I continue to run, really, not really thinking too rationally.
Okay. I'll get back to you in a minute. Theo, Ariel, you're moving onwards towards the amphitheatre.
Yep.
Again, crowd gets quite heavy as you head towards the amphitheatre. Both give me either a find or mind check if you don't have find. Oh, Theo, if you've got the skill, you can roll again and add. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that was everyone.
I spot it, I guess.
Yeah, well, with those rolls, give me what are your totals? I mean, with a 36, I just need to know Ariel's total, really.
15.
And Theo, your total was?
Well, the 36 is plus 11. My what was it? It was find, wasn't it?
Yep. That's mind plus any find skill adds you might
So it's
have.
plus 9. Makes it 20.
Okay, two things you are certain of, Theo, as you're heading that way. Actually, three things. The first thing is you notice a couple of people who would have been your parishioners walking along, and they do appear to be concerned and worried. And you do your duty, and you calm people down and tell them, "Oh, we're good. This is obviously the work of the Lord," and they're smiling and happy. The second thing you notice is that you are certain that on the way you haven't seen Rain in the crowd. You don't know what Darcy looks like. You don't know what Adrienne looks like, but you have not seen your cousin in the groups that you've been mixing with. The third thing you notice is beginning to appear at the edges of the crowd, and also ahead of you at the amphitheatre. You can see these figures at the entrances to the amphitheatre. You're seeing what look like law enforcement, but their uniforms are strange. They're wearing armor, which is of a design you've never encountered before. It does look very police/militaristic. They do have helmets with visors, and they all are armed with weapons you do not recognize. But the one thing that your very high check does recognize is that on their armor, emblazoned in various places in sort of recessed, not in color, but like recessed into the metallic or whatever material the armor is, you do see crucifixes, symbols of the church.
Who are these strange people? What is going on here?
They appear to be politely guiding people. You see one old lady stumbling, and one of these figures does rush forward and help her to her feet, letting his weapon clatter to his leg, where it's obviously attached. And they're nodding, and they're generally guiding people, keeping the crowd calm more than anything else. And you can see the ones to the rear of you appear to be making sure stragglers are okay. They're looking to see if anybody has been missed and double checking that people know the way to go, obviously to attend what is obviously an important meeting.
Do the other ones of us lurking a bit behind, do we notice these?
Both of you give me find checks.
Oh.
That's Harlequin as well, please.
Okay. I didn't know you meant me. Right, okay. Yeah.
You're lagging behind stealthily, aren't you?
I thought he was looking at the people lagging behind, and that was me. Okay, I got.
Well, you and Camille. She's sticking with you,
fine.
apparently.
13.
Okay, what's your total, Badger, with the 7?
Less than 10 if that's the target number. So
Let's know what you get. Because, I mean, spotting them isn't particularly difficult. It's just the amount of information you get in addition to that.
that's a 7.
7. Okay, yeah, you see a couple of the figures.
Okay.
I'll get onto you in a second. Harlequin, you also see these figures. However, you manage to avoid them. Camille, you are looking when there is a polite cough from behind you, and you turn and you see 2 of these uniformed figures. One of them nods towards you and said, "The town meeting is this way, ma'am." "Madame." And he politely gestures with his hand in a particular direction.
But I noticed that they used the wrong term to address me, so I'm obviously suspicious.
That was me doing it wrong. I said "Madame"
Yeah, I know.
first. Because you're not a mademoiselle.
No.
And his companion moves around behind you, but in a way he appears to be looking to see if there's anyone else, but not. He's not sort of like looking with a sort of hard stare. It's just like casual looking to see if there's anyone else that needs help. Are you moving onwards, or are you staying still?
I'm moving onwards, but I'm looking for like some sort of escape route that I can use to
Okay.
get away from sort of the stream of people.
Okay. What's basically happening is the one that addressed you, he is hanging about 3 or 4 paces behind, just casually walking along, but staying behind you. His companion appears to also be doing similar, but his companion is more sort of like casually walking backwards a few steps, every so often turning around and looking. None of them have their hands on their weapons at this point. They're all quite calm. Kerry, you run through you run pell-mell through the maze-like narrow winding streets of the town of Orange. You're panicked, so you've forgotten everything you knew about the architecture of the place. You know about the history of the area. You've just got this nagging feeling at the back of your head about previous invasions. This place had been invaded before. It was World War II. It was invaded. There were earlier periods in time during various different rebellions where it was invaded. It's a different feeling that you have now, but that's the thing that's the forefront in your mind when you run around a corner and pull yourself up at the sight of 3 uniformed individuals, the same as I've been described to everyone else, just in the street directly in front of you. And one of them basically says, "Citizen, halt, what is the problem?"
And I don't recognize the uniform.
No, it's the uniform I've described to the other ones, but he's talking French. It's a local accent. Are you okay?
I'm being chased by some flying thing.
The herald is nothing to fear. It is merely a messenger of faith. Are you ill? Do you have headaches? Are you suffering from any infirmities?
I don't know what to say to that. Are they armed? Have they got guns?
Yes, they are. They're not holding up their guns, but again, they've got sort of chest straps, and you can see a significant-looking firearm strapped to the front of these guys, and they are each down their left leg. They each have a pretty hefty-looking baton strapped as well.
Okay, I'll try and bluff them. I'll say, and I'll put my hand on my head and say, "Yeah, I feel dizzy. I think I'm sick. Where's the hospital?"
Francois, assist the young lady, and his companion comes over. He takes your pulse. He says, "Oui, Anton, she does appear to have a temperature." He puts his hand to your forehead. Make me a find check.
It's 9.
Okay. You're waiting for an opportunity, and just you're about to. Oh, he's about to let go. I'm about to dart now. When you feel it in your neck, and everything goes dark.
Oh, that's early.
Okay. Back to everyone else. Give me 2 seconds.
It's okay. You can do the
You can go to
operation.
bed now.
You can do the operations on Chloe, and then she becomes a cyborg. I'm going to call her Terminator 10,000 or something.
However, Kerry, sorry, the one other thing that does happen, as everything is going dark, you do feel weird. As your consciousness is fading, something else is building within you. Because you did make an attempt to face off, but appropriately, Chloe Beaumont stays true to core Earth. So you can adjust your character sheet accordingly. It's like there's a surge of defiance. Doesn't manage to fight or stave away the fading into black of unconsciousness, but you fall asleep with "this is not right" ringing in your slowly fading mind. So, Harlequin, you have managed to find yourself a vantage point away from the amphitheatre, from which you can watch. I mean, it's quite raised. So when I say away, you're at the edge of the amphitheatre on the outside, but you're looking through from one of the top windows down. Camille, you are unable to break away from your courteous partners until you are in the Roman theatre and you're amongst the crowd.
Okay, I will stealthily try to escape. I guess look for a way out.
Give me a find check.
That is 10.
Okay, you're looking around. You know of 3 or 4 ways to get out of here, but each time you make your way through the crowd, and there are at least 3 of these police at that exit. Try another one. Again, 4 at that exit. It seems they are guarding all of the ways out at the moment. In fact, the only thing you note that is an item of help is you do see 2 familiar faces about 15 meters away from you within the crowd, and as the only point of hope, you make your way towards Theo and Ariel.
Right.
The crowd hushes as the Roman theatre, it's crowded by the time you get there. There's a huge stone backdrop, which is the sort of where the performances would take place on the amphitheatre. The reason the crowd hushes is that there is a brief flare of light, and that stone backdrop is covered with a bright 3D holographic projection. A number of them, there's sort of, imagine if you've gone to a concert, there's a big one in the middle and there's a number of smaller ones scattered to either side of it, showing different views of news feeds and the like. However, the big one in the center is a giant copy of the strange priest standing on the stage. As the images appear and the crowd goes quiet, he begins to speak. The other screens around him are showing images and headlines of the disasters around the world. You can see scenes of a giant sandstone bridge over the pyramids of Giza. You see a sky shot of Manhattan Island, and it's obviously been taken from a helicopter. The helicopter pans over the river, and you see a crowd of people being led out of the Western Tunnel on Manhattan Island. And then that ends as the camera swerves to the right and a pterodactyl comes straight into the lens. But FYI, essentially, you see your characters from the Living Land adventure leading the people on the first routes towards safety in Philadelphia. There is an interview with a strange-looking female guard who claims to be Constable Alison Caudry of the Metropolitan Police, although she doesn't look like a Metropolitan Police woman. But she is talking about the events that have taken place in the last few hours. In the background of that, you see a certain bus driver walking around in the background talking to two, you know them as an American couple, but one of them's dressed as a paladin and the other one dressed as a priest. And essentially there are a myriad of these images. The priest, his eyes are covered by a metallic visor. He has rich robes of black and red. Skellen, you notice, slightly strange, it is the fashion of the Catholic Church, but there appear to be significant differences than you're used to. Firstly, the robes appear to have electrical circuits visible around the bottom edges and the cuffs of the sleeves.
This is
He has,
wrong.
he has a long, he has a long cardinal-style staff, again crisscrossed with wires and circuitry. A glowing holographic crucifix rotates slowly at the top of the staff. The images are flashing behind him, and he begins to speak to the crowd, and the crowd hushes. Elsewhere in the world, nations are being punished for their hubris and lack of faith. Demons ravaged Europe last night, and still ravage Russia. In contrast, Cyberpope Jean Marot's arrival here is a blessing, a boon awarded for France's piety and advanced philosophy. The cyber papacy has come to shield France from the evils around them. We hope to shield all of Europe soon. Near the stage, a throng of people surround a hovering bus. Church police are ushering people aboard, and Laval, as is the priest's name, he gestures with a wide arcing hand grandly to the vehicle. Unfortunately, due to the harshness of our world being torn asunder by these evil raiders, people may need upgrades to survive. If you experience pain in your limbs, headaches, or even blindness, speak to a priest or the church police. We shall transport you to Central Hospital for the needed upgrade. And he gestures towards the gathered police, and he gestures as well to other priests which appear to be scattered around the crowd. You didn't notice them before. Do not worry about any expense. All upgrades in zones under the Cyber Papacy's protection are completely free. This is Cyberpope Marot's doctrine. To each the deserved, from each the possible. He grows somber and quiet for a moment before proceeding. The images on the screens behind him switch to photographs of demons taken the night before. Amongst them, you can see classic-looking demons, the sort of things you would see in medieval literature and in some more fire and brimstone texts of the Christian Church and others. But in addition, while your characters do not understand, you see some images which, to you as players, are obviously shot from the conflicts within Russia. And there are images of the winged Tharkolju that rule there, as well as a myriad of other terrible-looking creatures from that reality. Finally, a warning. Demons are real, and the humans who worship and draw power from them, witches, are also real. They walk among you, spreading poison and lies. If you see or hear a witch practicing magic or pagan worship, report them immediately to the church police for the continued safety of the entire community.
That was so
She's
fast.
there!
As the denounce card is played, an image of Ariel's shop and her face
No!
appear on the screen. The crowd gasps. At least 7 or 8 people in the crowd around you, Gaz,
I'm not going to
They-
get to play a witch,
they
am I?
point towards you, and all of a sudden, the crowd around you and your group, so that's Theo, Camille, and Ariel, backs away. So you've now got like a 6-foot space around you, and they begin to murmur, "Witch, heathen." And you've heard these sort of things all your life, but you have the one thing at this point, Ariel, you have never felt the clear and certain feeling of dread that this has just kicked off in you. I want to know what you're doing first in the immediate instances, and then I'll work out what everyone else is doing. What's Ariel doing?
Holy moly.
Literally, the crowd has turned to look at you all. I mean, they're turning to look at Ariel. Camille and Theo just happen to be stood next to her because you haven't reacted in the same way.
I'm going to panic.
And do what?
I think I'm going to look to run.
Okay, give me a second. Your immediate reaction to run, you spin around looking for somewhere to go, and the crowd is solid at this moment around you, and they look to be on the verge of turning. What's Camille doing? What's Theo doing?
I'm going to step in front of Ariel, and I'm going to say that they're preaching hate instead of love. This is not the God I know. We've come beyond this persecution.
Excellent. Give me a persuasion roll. What's Camille doing?
She's trying to, I guess, disappear into the crowd.
Okay.
Actually, can I try and do a faith roll and try and claim I'm true to faith?
You can try.
Remember, Theo can do possibilities.
But,
He can.
Oh, go on, I'll spend a possibility on it.
Or it's at least a 10.
Oh, that's nice to know.
That's +5 at least, 18.
Oh, sorry, it's like, yeah, sorry, 18. Yeah, I thought at least a 10 and I rolled a 2, so it was a 10.
Yeah. But yeah, 10 plus the 8 for 18.
Okay, so 5 plus... Oh, I'm pretty charismatic.
I am not.
Well,
It's
your
not
witch
working
wouldn't
today.
be.
14 in total.
Which particular non-player character is mistrustful?
I'm sorry?
When you play denounced, you say a non-player character.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was definitely Ariel. It just,
When I was on her,
suited.
but a particular non-player character, I mean, it's had an effect on the crowd in general, but a specific non-player character is directly affected by the card. Who are you?
Well, it'll be you have to be Rain then, wouldn't it?
No, it's a non-player character. Oh yeah, so Rain. Okay.
Oh no, Rain's going to turn against me.
Okay, cool.
Rain
That's
here.
mean.
Oh, that's the most.
Cool.
That's the
Understood.
meanest thing I can think of. Sorry.
Cool.
My own lover. You've turned him against me.
My cousin. I would
Have
have
two
strong
possibilities,
words with
Callum.
Can I play the romance card then and get him to fall in love with me again?
You might be able to. Skellen, take two possibilities.
Thank you very much.
Camille, give me a find check before you can attempt stealth.
Oh.
At this moment in time, you're literally having a moment of crisis. All of your attempts to hide, to pull yourself out of the spotlight, they're just not working. They're failing. There's now a fight or flight response going on within yourself, but it's almost like you're being forced into not necessarily a literal fight response, but you are in a spotlight that you cannot get out of. What are you doing in reaction to that straight away? I mean, that you can sense, Camille's been around, you can sense that this is about to kick off in a big way in seconds.
If she's got a knife, then I think she'll pull it out, but in a very stealthy way, sort of
Sure.
hide it behind.
You have taken a decision to defend yourself with weaponry. Cool, not a problem. Can Ariel, you were doing a faith check, yeah? Give me a faith roll. Wonderful.
Sugar.
Perfect. I will tell you now
Damn it.
that if you failed spectacularly like you just did, or if you succeeded wonderfully, it would have had the same effect. However, I think this one is more appropriate. You try to summon everything you know about the Catholic faith to put something, some kind of facade up to defend you. But your belief in that which you know, your Wiccan belief, the pagan faith you have in the powers of nature, crystals, natural healing, herbology, all of these things, you are just unable to betray them. And instead of the words coming out of your mouth being, no, I am true to the church, you blurt out, yes, if you say so, I am a witch. And you admit it. And it's literally, it's the first time you have actually admitted it out loud. Because your faith has been a private thing up until now. And as a result of that, Ariel also has a moment of crisis,
A spell called teleport.
as does Camille. So we'll just take a short time out to describe what happens to Ariel. The scariest thing that happens to Ariel is with that I am a witch acceptance, you feel yourself infused with power. She lifts a full 2 feet off the floor, arms briefly outstretched, almost like crucifixion, but then they quickly go up toward the heaven. And energy just cascades off her. And that is the point when the crowd goes mental. By the way, Harlequin, you're watching this from the edge. You've seen all of this take place. You can see at least straight away about 10 different groups in the crowds. There are people that are panicked. Everybody that was pointing at Ariel is now running away from her, causing a cascade effect to go on throughout the crowds. There are members of these police now trying to get towards Ariel, but you can see that there are other people in the crowd that appear to have the same reaction that Theo had. Hearing the priest's words, they've grabbed whatever they can, and they are fighting back in various groups around the amphitheater against these whatever they are, the wrongness of these individuals. Camille, you just as that happened, and you see that the girl that you've probably walked past her shop on a number of occasions, and she is just lifted off the floor, and in the core of your being, you realise that's not right. Her being persecuted isn't right. What she's doing right there isn't right. You've never seen anything like that before, and you are certain to the bottom of your being that shouldn't be happening. Which is why you didn't transform to the cyber papacy. You've transformed to core Earth.
Yay!
Harlequin, you get to make a find check with a +4 bonus due to your heightened area to see if you can spot Darcy just before the chaos breaks out.
7 seems to be a very popular roll today. Right. -2 +4, it's +2, 3, 13 again.
However, oh, by the way, Ariel, you have got 5 possibilities, not 3, because you do get the 2 from the denounced. Camille, you've got 3 possibilities, and you don't see her, and then the chaos breaks out, and unexpectedly, for your street hardened heart, the first thing that comes into your mind when that chaos kicks off, and you can just see violence across the entire square, your first instinct is, I have to find Darcy.
Oh,
and for the first time, you realise you care for her more than you've ever cared for anyone other than yourself in your young life so far, and it sort of shakes you a little bit. And that chink, that brief moment of the facade dropping, you feel something rushing in to fill you.
Oh. I was actually going to go and save the mother, but it's okay.
Well, you can do that as well, but it's in that instant that you suddenly feel something different hitting you. And yes, most of the watches in your bag change into something else. They're still timepieces, but they're much, much higher tech timepieces than they were before. Right, that's everyone transcended now, yeah?
I'll be AFK a bit because I'm writing stuff out.
Yep, apart from Mandel. So, Ariel, you have that brief moment of being filled with this power you didn't know you had, and in fact you didn't have before. This is new. But then in a moment that to you feels like an eternity, but in reality it was like a second or two, it leaves you, or more correctly, it recedes back into you, and you drop 2 feet to the ground. You collapse. You don't get a superhero landing, not in the cyber papers. But Theo, you see the girl collapse, and the crowd is just screams and violence all around you. We're going to go into combat rounds.
Instead,
To
I'd
resolve
like to
this.
cast a spell.
Is this?
I would
is
like
this like
to
a
cast a
Beatles
spell.
concept?
No, this is more like, at the risk of being insensitive for recent events, it's more like an Ariana Grande concert. People are panicking massively. And it says it's not a burgeoning riot, this is a full-on riot at this point. Just before you're acting, you can start to see, as I said, some of you can see church police, that's what they are, beginning to try and move through the crowd. At this point, They have no facade of helpfulness. They have heavy batons in hand. And Camille, you're slightly longer in the tooth. You've probably been at 1 or 2 protests in your life. You hear the sound of sort of the sound of something grenade-like being fired, but it's still in the air, so you're not entirely sure what it is yet. You guys go first. Ariel, you probably would have taken a couple of shock from what just happened to you, but you're inspired, so everyone gets 2 shock back anyway. Combat rounds. I need to know what you're all doing. You can decide the order. Kerry, Chloe isn't here. She will reappear, but not this scene, okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm thinking of clearing a path for us so that we can escape, because this is madness.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
And I shall go first then, if that's okay with everyone.
How many enemies or whatever are there now?
Within your immediate vicinity, like within melee range, unless you wanted to attack someone that's running around, there aren't any. But there are significantly more church police within the amphitheatre than there are yourselves. But at this moment in time, it would seem that the riot has made them forget a little bit about what Ariel just did. But there are ones heading in your direction.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'll try to look for the nearest exit and just head that way.
Okay. So we'll go and see if anyone wants to change what they're doing in reaction to what someone else is doing. They can do so. But Skellen, you wanted to go first, so please go ahead.
Yeah, mostly because what I'd like to do is use the repel miracle. I will hold up my book and say, "Get back! Let us pass! Let us pass!" And by the power of Christ, let us through. And apparently it summons a force radiating out from me, pushes away all hostile characters and creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Allies are unaffected. So I want to try and make an escape route for us, because I'm presuming at the moment there's like massive crowd of people, is there?
Oh, there is, and you're all. I mean, the space that was around you isn't a space anymore. That 6-foot gap just disappeared with panicked people running left and right.
Okay.
So they're buffeting against you. So go ahead and generate a faith total.
I got this, everyone. Don't worry.
Difficulty for this is a standard.
I'm rolling better than last time.
You are indeed. Do you want to spend a possibility? We'll work out what you're getting first, because if you get an outstanding already, then the possibility won't do anything.
Oh, okay. So I'm quite good at this. It's
That's
just
5.
faith, is it?
Yep. Faith skill. You should have a decent faith skill, I believe.
I have. It's 13 as standard, which would be with a 5 would be
That
an
will
18.
be an 18. So just to let you know, at the moment, the force that you can bring to bear has a strength equal to your faith skill. So essentially, anybody with a strength equal or lesser than your faith skill are essentially pushed back 5 meters and are stymied.
Well, that's 13. That's quite high.
Now,
isn't
your
it?
good success, because you've got more than 5 over the difficulty number of 10, it means its strength is equal to your faith plus 2. So that makes it a 15. Now, you're 2 points away from an outstanding, which is 10 points higher than your difficulty number. An outstanding would also make them very stymied rather than stymied.
Oh, that sounds fun. Let's do that.
And that's only 2 points away.
Right, okay, here goes then. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, you can only make it better, so that's a 32.
So that's plus 10 on top of my 13, so that's 23.
Okay. 2 things happen. Oh, no, 2 things don't happen. I just have to remember that one's there. You grasp your transformed book, the word of your Lord within it. You hold it aloft and quote chapter and verse, possibly something appropriate from Moses. Don't know. And an inexorable and seemingly unstoppable force radiates out from you. And it's not a bang radiate out. It literally gathers around the core of your being, and a beatific white light just slowly over the course of 3 or 4 seconds just spreads out until probably only about 3 or 4 confused looking locals who are unaffected by the pushing force are left in a 5-meter clearing all around you. Other locals, 2 or 3 church police that were coming close to you, they are all just pushed back with this irresistible force, and they are grounded. So it's gone out, and there's almost like a pile, about like 2 foot, 3 foot high, a pile of tangled bodies in this circumference around you, apart from one clear gate-like section, which is, if you imagine you took a point from yourself to the nearest exit, and where that line bisects your circle, there are no bodies on the floor. Miraculously so, because that's what just happened. It's a bit weird there, Camille. That's yeah, you don't know what just happened there. Yeah, you've never seen a priest do that before.
Well, mon Dieu.
Indeed, indeed. What's Ariel doing? Only because if there's a magic to get out of the way at this point, we may as well get the magic out of the way at this point.
So what spells did you get then, Ariel?
Not sure if Gaz is there. If Gaz isn't there, we'll go on to whatever Camille's doing. Because Camille, give me a find check. You're looking for 2 things. Oh, and Harlequin, I want another find check from you as well, as the crowd's going mental.
Yeah, that's a 10.
16.
Okay. Camille, you see that indeed, in exactly the direction that gap in this pile of bodied circle is, you can see your clearest exit. And the church police who were previously stood at stark attention, guarding it, have moved into the crowd, trying to quell this riot. Harlequin, you see 2 things. You see what's just gone on with Ariel and Theo and Camille down amongst the crowd. You see that an obvious gap has appeared, but in the rear window of the now swiftly moving away from the amphitheatre hovering bus, you see undeniably, not pressed up against the window in any degree of panic, but from a side view, you see that Darcy is on that bus, and then the bus drives out of sight. Gaz, are you there?
Lost connection, maybe. You didn't see it.
And he hasn't on Discord. Well, what are you doing in the meantime, Ariel? Not Ariel, Harlequin. You've just seen that, but it's on the other side of the amphitheatre, and it's a big amphitheatre, like 200-300 meters across. It's a moving vehicle, but she was in it. Did someone have an idea card?
Yeah, but it's not in my thing yet.
Shot. Just wanted to make sure you've got it. I thought you did.
I didn't have a turn to move it across yet.
Right. At this moment in time, because you're essentially you're up in the nosebleeds, the equivalent, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Gaz, we can't hear you. Go ahead and disconnect. You're up in the nosebleed, so you're clear of any opposition at this point.
Oh. Does running count as like an anything?
No, because it's not an action.
Okay.
But anything you do alongside running does. Oh, that reminds me. Yeah. So a miracle was cast. Theo can have. No, that was the wrong card deck. Theo can
Hello?
have a glory card.
Yeah,
Hi
I can
guys,
hear
we
you
can hear you now.
guys.
You can. Oh. You weren't just ignoring me then.
No, we weren't ignoring. We couldn't hear. So Theo, Skellen, you got the glory card. No one else has actually done anything yet, but remind me that it's an any round for giving cards up.
What was Ariel doing then?
Do I get put one in my pool, by the way?
Yeah, you do. At the end of your go, you can always put a card in your pool from your hand.
You're the only person that's done your turn yet.
Okay, I was going to go with whatever Ariel was doing in case she was doing spellcasting, guys.
So Theo's what? Just like carved a path.
Theo has literally just said some inspiring words from the Bible, and then a calm but strong white glow just emanated from him. And as the circle expanded, it just pushed everything that you would consider an enemy back. Tangles of limbs and people fall over, and 5 meters around you now is completely clear, and there's just this this circle of bodies just lying in heaps, apart from a sort of a 5 foot wide gap that's directly between you and an exit.
So we have a clear exit we can run through.
Yep, at the moment, but there are beyond that. There's still people. There's still crowds outside that 5 meter radius. But it's certainly the line of least resistance right now.
Right. One of my spells is called Enhance.
Yep.
Which enables me to add to attributes of people.
Yes, it does.
How long does it last for?
3 rounds.
Where does it say that? Oh, for goodness sake.
Duration, under the spell description.
I read this about 4 times and couldn't see that, and then just literally saw it then. Right, never mind. Being daft. Right, okay, 3 rounds.
And you can cast that on multiple people. It just adds a multi target penalty for each additional person. And the difficulty is the highest stat of the group you're trying to enhance.
Who of us is here?
Yourself,
Area.
Theo, and Ariel.
So it's just us 3.
Yep.
I am going to attempt to enhance then our dexterity, assuming we have to run for it. That's what
Okay, don't forget you can combine a move, like your normal move, with a single action without a multi-action penalty. Running would incur a multi-action penalty. So go ahead and cast your first spell.
Do I just roll the dice? Is that it?
Yeah, you generate. I mean, what you're doing enhance. It will say which skill it is on it.
Alteration 12 is the skill. Does that mean I have to have 12 in alteration?
You should have it.
I've got alteration, but only at 3. I don't know. Does that?
You add
That'd be
that
stupid.
onto your mind, or I think it uses mind, doesn't it?
All right, so mind plus your alteration. Of course, that's how skills work. Right, where are we? Alteration 3 mind. Okay, so I've got 14, and then the DN is that's what I've got to get over, is it? Target attribute. So what's everyone's dexterity, or the 3 of us?
I'm
Theo.
sitting here explaining it, and I had the microphone on. The highest dexterity. I was literally telling you that. The
Wondering why
highest
I'm talking over it.
dexterity is an 11, which is Camille's.
Right, so I need to
But you're
get
doing a
11.
multi-target. You're doing yourself and 2 other people. So that's 2 additional targets. So that's -2 for the first target, -4 for the second target. What you can do, just let's say that's going to put your difficulty up. You need to get a 15. Okay.
Okay.
So just generate a bonus number.
Well, he's got like 5 possibilities, so like he's going to go.
He
for it.
does. You're currently on -4.
Right.
You didn't mishap or glitch yet.
Yes, I still can.
Well, no, you can't glitch or mishap on anything apart from the first roll.
That's all right then.
So if you roll a 1 on this one, doesn't matter.
I will. What's that? -4.
That's the -4. Now you
Right.
need a 15. What's your skill?
14. So 10.
So you're at a 9 at the moment. 10 at the moment, yeah.
So I will roll possibility thing.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, it's at least a 10, so that's a 15. It's a bonus number of 2. And what was your skill?
14, so 16.
Okay, which is enough for a standard success. You do not fail. So, Theo, Camille, and Ariel, for the next 3 rounds, does include this one. For the next 3 rounds, your dexterities are all increased by 1. And it does also increase your move. So your move is increased.
Yes.
Theo, were you standing still, or are you? I mean, obviously you're not all moving one after the other. He's got AFK at the moment. I'll assume that when you're moving, you're probably moving as a group.
I will probably move first,
Okay.
being the witch. I crack my knuckles, that's all you see. So I like start doing the horrible cracking your knuckles, and then I start moving forwards. Just normal moving.
Okay. Theo follows behind, and Camille, you were looking around, and you were going to run, I believe.
Well, actually, I figured I was going to try to use maneuver against
I get a
whichever
Oh,
guy
you
is
get a card.
closest.
Okay, you scan the crowd in the direction you're going. You can see about 2 or 3 meters off your path. There is a small group of church police. They appear to they've all drawn their batons, but as well as that, from where you don't know, they each now appear to have a tall, like riot shield style object, but where it's come from, you're not sure. They certainly didn't appear to have them on them before.
Okay,
So you could maneuver those guys if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'll try to kick their shield or something on one of them. One, 13.
Okay, against church police, yeah?
Yeah.
Just the one? There are only 2 or 3 in that group.
Yeah,
so.
just the one.
Okay, their maneuver is an 8. You got what, a 13?
Yeah.
You can choose to make them very stymied, very vulnerable, or a mixture of both.
Well, were they already stymied?
Okay, you get the martyr card as a result, and he is very stymied. Just need to take a quick break, guys. You'll go next, don't worry.
Okay, Badger, do me a favor. Talk in your French accent until I can understand you.
Okay.
You said okay.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I barely ever use my French accent, so.
Oh, okay.
But,
It was just funny because you were speaking in your French accent. I could hear you saying English words, but I could not understand the English words. It was like a different language. It was going, what is he saying? So strange. Never had that happen before. It's just weird. Soon I'll be, whenever it's my go, I'll be coming down to rescue you, maybe.
Yay.
Going to be the Harlequin, and I'm going to mime.
Is that like your go-to if you wanted to like confuse someone? You just do like pantomime.
No, I was thinking more along the lines, of the skies, and then I'm going to try and take one of these people out and then dress in their clothes. I could have an idea. I could actually go over there and try and persuade one of them and say, let these people out, because we want to keep them separated from the evil people, and see what happens. But too many choices. I always find the transfer point, how to transfer, very hard for me, for some reason. Carter is literally a con person who hacks into banks and stuff. There's nothing good about her. apart from this friend, and that's it.
Well, that's
According to this, to the changeover, you need to do something heroic.
yeah. I mean, what could you try to hack into though?
I was trying to hack into Skellon's pad, but he wouldn't let me have it, so I couldn't do it that way.
Well, if I know this setting correctly, then all sort of high tech items are hackable because they're connected to like the GodNet or whatever it is.
Okay.
So you
Unhackable
can-
or hackable?
Hackable. So you
Okay.
could perhaps even like hack someone's gun and then make it explode. That would be cool. I don't know if it's possible, but yeah.
That's okay. We're just waiting for John to come back. He went AFK too.
Oh, who's sorry? Who's got? Is it master plan?
I don't have master plan.
Me neither.
I'm sure somebody got master plan at the beginning. Don't
I got idea.
I've got the inspire one, which is gives you a choice of a possibility, a card, or that one. So if somebody's got master plan, it'd be good to have that in your pool before I play it. Pick it up.
Well, all of us are here, so I don't know who has it then. Why don't you go backwards on the
Kellen,
chat?
you have it.
See?
It doesn't say who they are.
Oh.
There's just a list of all the cards. I saw it's there, but
Okay,
Well-
I'm back. Hopefully you've all planned and strategized while I wasn't listening.
No, there was two of them AFK, so there was
Oh,
only
there you go. That was
Badger.
useful. Well, okay. So what's Harlequin doing? You've just seen them moving off.
Oh, I did a plan, so you want to hear my plan?
Go for it. What's your plan?
What do I see below me? Do I see a church officer by himself?
I'm going to go old school on this. I'm rolling a physical dice.
They've got two plans.
You can see not directly below you, but sort of you could scoot across, and then if you wanted to drop down, there is he's isolated from other police. He's facing into the crowd, nightstick, for want of a better term, and this big tall shield that he's now got from somewhere in front of him.
Ooh. Right, what I want to try to do is stealthily take this person out and then change it to his clothes. That's my plan.
Okay.
My other plan was to persuade him to let people out, but I think my mimicry, my mind skills would be better used. What a go.
Okay.
Don't say okay like that. It sounds so
Cool.
bad.
No, it doesn't. It's cool. I like the plan.
Okay, tell me what I'm rolling, because I don't know what I'm rolling.
Right. Essentially, what are you trying to do to take him out? Lethally or non-lethally?
I think I'm safer doing it lethally, because I've only got a dagger and I have nothing. Oh, I've got punch. I can punch him, but I do less
Let's go
damage.
with you don't have to do unarmed combat or melee on this, because he's only a basic character. I don't like to use the term mook for everybody, but it's essentially that. He's not a named character. He's not a big bad. You could do an interaction test, and if you get enough to get a player's call, you take him out. So essentially, you could use maneuver.
Okay.
So you're positioning, dropping down, and then just trying to grab his head and twist or hit him in the right place, just to take him out of the combat. And to do that, you need to get 10 higher than his defensive maneuver.
I can't do that.
You might be able to. What's your maneuver skill?
1.
Which added to your dexterity is?
I only get, because I've no cards, I only get one possibility chance, so I don't think it's possible
Well, don't-
unless I get a 20 and a 10.
So what's your total skill?
I said 11.
Sorry, I didn't hear the 11. So he's got a defensive maneuver of 18. You are taking him by surprise, however, because he has no idea where you are. So versus you, he is effectively very stymied because you're taking him from behind from absolute surprise. So you only need to get a 14.
Oh, I'll try that because that's only a 3. I can do that. Sounds so bad when you think about it mathematically. It's like, oh, there's no way I can do this. 14 is a 1.
That's a 1.
I need to use a possibility.
There isn't anyone who can counter that at this moment in time. That's at least a 10, so that's a 24.
That's 8. 19.
19. Let's give it a -2 for multi-action for what I'm about to describe. What would the same... what was that? 24. What is your stealth +6?
16.
Okay, cool. Basically, you position yourself, you drop, and basically you drop and your arm literally drops around the guy's throat. So his head, as you land, comes up between your left arm and your chest. You immediately crunch in, and while he struggles to get out, you maintain pressure and take 3, 4, 5 steps back into the shadow of the edge of the amphitheatre. And the church policeman loses consciousness. You won't be able to get his uniform off immediately, but he is now on the ground. As he hits the ground, two things happen. You notice that the nightstick that he's got, the top of it is crackling with energy, and that stops crackling. And the shield, that is a big tower shield, like 5 feet high, proceeds to compress. The tops and the bottoms go, and then the edges go until it returns to what's essentially a 4-inch disc on his right forearm, part of his uniform. Is that everyone's goes?
I need a
Obviously,
card, please.
You do need a card. Obviously not Chloe, because Chloe is currently elsewhere. You get a supporter card. The villains aren't doing anything this round because it's essentially almost like a surprise round. There's a lot of them, but there's also a lot of other people in the crowd they're dealing with. So the second combat round begins. Pace quickens. Well, I said there weren't any villains in place to begin with. However, they do appear to bring themselves to bear, and 3 church police step toward. Just one thing, Badger, you did still move forwards, didn't you?
Yep.
Yep. The group that you tried to outmaneuver, you successfully outmaneuvered one of them, and he's significantly further back and having to fight his way through a couple of additional townsfolk before he gets to you. Hence, he's very stymied. They make their way to you, and both Theo, Camille, and Ariel are each subject to a summary police attempted beating. They're coming towards you with these big shields raised and these like 4-foot long nightstick baton type affairs. So let's do Theo first. So the good priest, he gets 6, gives it a -4. Their melee weapons gives that church policeman a 5. Is that enough? I don't think it is to hit your melee defense or unarmed defense because you're not actually armed. I'm assuming that's a no, Galen.
Sorry, what was the question, mate?
Does a 5 hit your unarmed defense?
5 unarmed defense.
Don't
8
think it will.
is mine now. 8 is mine.
Okay, didn't hit you. That's good. On Chloe, he doesn't disconnect. For one thing, he's not reality rated, but you manage to duck as his arm flies high towards you. misses your head by quite a way, but still close enough. You can hear the crackling of electricity that's obviously going around the edge of this nightstick. And the third one, gets a 20. So this is on you, Badger, but this is the one who's very stymied. They are skilled in melee weapons, however, so he does re-roll. That's a 28, so that gives him a bonus number of 9. -4 is a 5. His melee weapons is a 9, so that's a 14. Is that enough to hit your melee defense? Because you have a dagger.
Yeah, it is.
Would
12.
you like to attempt an active defense?
Well, that will prevent me from acting later on, right?
It would do. But it would get an additional roll because you are up this. I mean, he's only got a 14. So it's probably not 5 higher than your defense. I happen to know you've got a couple of points in melee, so your defense should be enough to keep you within the 0 to 4 range.
Yeah, I think I'll just take it.
Okay. Well, his riot stick comes down. He hits you like 3 or 4 times in a bashing motion, but the main one that impacts, you take 2 shock from the actual impact. We'll probably do that. I haven't worked out the damage yet. So he's done 11 damage versus your toughness. What's your toughness?
Toughness is 7.
7 minus 11, that's 4. 1 lower than it would have been, you get a wound. So you take 2 shock from the impact. However, the electrical energy, the club almost acts like a taser, and you take an additional shock.
Oh.
So 3 shock. However, that's all that the church police are doing directly to you guys. You can start to see clouds of yellow gas beginning to blossom out of the points where the grenades obviously hit. Some kind of riot gas, maybe tear gas, pepper gas. You're not sure yet. You've not encountered it. You can hear people coughing and choking from within those areas, but that's in amongst all of the chaotic noise of the screaming and the yelling of heretic, get them, oppressors, just throughout the crowd.
Okay, before anyone goes, I want to ask the question.
Yes.
No, not to you. I want to ask
Okay.
a question to everyone else. Do you want me to use my idea to make this card an any, or to save my idea for a clue later on?
Up to you.
I'll say save it.
Okay. Okay, can I do my multi-action, please? One is to strip this person, and the other one is to dress.
Give us to do it quickly. You're going to make a hard dexterity check because it's unfamiliar. You're not necessarily a quick change artist, but you are called Harlequin, so there must be some circus training in your background. You are up, however, so whatever you do this round, you are essentially rolling twice. So stripping him and opening, I'll give you it. I don't mind you getting another card. It's going to be a multi-action. So it's a hard check. You're at -2 for doing 2 things, but you're going to roll again and add regardless of what you do because of the up condition. So an 8, roll again. That's a 10. Roll again on the 10. That's a 27, giving you a bonus number of 9. -2 because of the multi-action. That's a 7 added to your deck.
17.
17. Well, your difficulty was 15. So you proceed to. You quickly find there's a zip down the side. It's almost like a onesie. You manage to take it off. He's got sort of full undergarments on that seem to be part of the uniform. But you don't worry about those. You quickly pull it up. It's quite form-fitting, but at the same time, it seems to be quite tough. And you zip it up, remove the helmet from the guy's head, and place it on yourself. You're looking around. You can see quite clearly through, but all of a sudden, the visor, there's any number of digital overlays that you've got no clue what any of them are doing. but there's sort of what looks like an overhead map with lots of different coloured flashing dots on. Various people in the crowd are outlined in different colours. That guy over there, there's something blue is holding and it's highlighted in his hand. There's something outlined in blue. It's just you can't concentrate on it, but there's obviously some kind of overlay on this outfit. Just so you know, you have currently put on a suit of the armor of God armor.
Wait a minute.
This is what it is called.
Is it in the book?
I'm just about to find it. It should definitely be, because it's a standard piece of cyber papal gear. It's AC. It's an armor of 4. I just need to double check if it's got a dex penalty that would impact you.
Armor of God, made with a thick but lightweight sheet of hard plus. Blah blah blah. What's it do? It doesn't say.
Do, 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 do. And the shields.
26 tech, bonus 4. Ooh,
Max
bonus
dex
4.
8. But you have put it on, but bear in mind that it is restricting you to a dex of 8 at the moment. Okay, but it is full body sealed suit armor.
So,
Okay, so that's your go. Well done. Have a action card, and remember to put one in your pool.
Yep.
What are Theo, Camille, and Ariel doing?
Well, I was trying. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm wondering if multi-targeting does not count as a multi-action, right?
Multi-targeting doesn't, because you're doing one thing against multiple people. You'd have essentially you've got to use different skills to do a multi-action. But they'll each get the same bonus number, which will be impacted by an up.
Right. What sort of
I'd like to
penalty do you-
stun them, which would help people.
Okay.
If that helps.
what sort of penalty would I get if I do a multi-action and then a multi-target?
They'd stack, but the multi-target would get the additional minuses, but they'd both get the multi-action penalty.
Okay, so if I'm going to say do a maneuver against 2 and then attack both of them.
Okay, so that would be a -2 to both, and there would be an additional -2 on the multi-attack.
Yeah, but I don't get that to multi-attacks because I have the whirlwind.
You do indeed. So you ignore the first. So you're at -2 on both, essentially. So you can always choose to attack an additional target.
Right.
Can I stun them first? Like I keep saying.
You can try.
Oh, that's only 12. That's not too good.
Well, hang on. Gaz was doing a spell, a stun, so you might be able to stun them first, which
Right.
may assist. So a wave of arcane energy overwhelms a group of foes. 4 on there. It affects everyone within a large blast area. So this wouldn't just affect the guards. You'd be stunning a couple of innocent bystanders as well.
I don't care.
What are you?
I'm
Are you
a
doing a
witch.
multi-action, or are you doing nothing else in addition to that?
What? I suppose I could run.
Which would be running as a full action, which would allow you to get further into the crowd. So that would count as a multi-action.
Go on and I'll stun and then run.
Okay.
Stun and run.
So you're doing a multi-attack on them. So you're doing it on all 3. So that's a -4 for that. No, it's not, because it's
No,
an
it's
area
not,
of
it's
effect.
less
An area of
area.
effect. Yep. So -2 for the multi-action.
So that's 17.
17
That's
gives you a
4.
4.
18, 16.
And the difficulty number is their willpower or
Or
spirit.
spirit.
And church police street beaters, which is what they're actually called, have a willpower of 8. So how many did you exceed it by?
16, so
That's by 8. You're 2 off getting an outstanding success, just so you know, in case you've got anything you can add to it.
Hasn't
I could do a
anyone got a
possibility.
supporter card or something?
Support card would help as well, if you don't want to blow a possibility. You only need 2 points on top of that.
Who's got the supporter card to play?
I know somebody has a support card in their hand. I'm not sure anyone has it in their pool. If they don't, go
No,
ahead.
I'll do a possibility then.
Okay, go ahead. Well, we don't need to roll it. You're going to get, or actually roll it in case you get a glory result.
That's a bit. Oh no,
That's a 10, it's a 23.
That's enough. So outstanding.
Okay,
they
so
lose
just so you
their
know,
tie next
they are
turn.
they are very stymied. On a good success, they also may not move on the next turn. On an outstanding success, they lose their entire next turn. Well done. So they're currently very stymied. Bizarrely, not vulnerable, but very stymied.
No. And I've run. Zoom, and I get a card.
Okay.
Woo.
VS. Yes, you do indeed.
Skellen, do you have the? Is it you who's got the? Which card did I say? The.
Supporter? Something else.
Yeah.
I've got a hero card, not supporter.
No, master plan.
I do not have a master plan.
I see what you're doing, because the master plan would enable you to retain that initiative card for the next round, which would give you up next round, and they wouldn't get a go anyway.
I do have
They've already
season.
had their go this round. Or season initiative might let you do something similar.
It does. I do have
No,
season initiative, but not on my
No,
home deck.
it's for something different.
You want to pull another card back off the pile, don't you?
Yeah, well, for them if they want it.
It must be Kerry
Kerry?
then.
Are you there, Kerry?
He is, but the character's not here.
I can't do anything.
I've not gone neither.
He can still play cards, though, can't he?
Effectively, he's not in the combat, so no.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I won't play
He
it.
could trade to your pool, but he couldn't play something to affect the encounter.
You could swap with one of us then with that card.
Okay, so Camille, your target numbers aren't reduced because they're stymied, not vulnerable. So if you want to go ahead and do your action.
Yeah, I did. I'm now at a. What was it now? 25.
Oh, because you got the 11, then the up gives you a 1.
Yeah. I don't know. How did that?
And then the
So,
13.
which is an 8 to.
That's an 8. Well, a 6 because you're at -2 on both actions.
Okay, dexterity is 12.
That's
So-
an 18 on the maneuver,
Yeah.
which is enough to get a player's call. Their maneuver defense is an 8 anyway.
Well, if I'm going to. Could I then choose to target someone else with the melee attack?
You could
Well-
do. You don't have to target the same person. So you can do just that. Essentially, your melee attack is now not a flurry or a whirlwind, because you're essentially only attacking one guy, but it doesn't matter because it's still only at a -2. So what's the melee targeting against the third guy? His defense, including his shield. I need to double read shields here because he's got a +3, and I'm not sure if that makes him difficult to hit or just more difficult to damage. That's how often we've used shield up until now, to check the rules.
Might be able to use shield soon.
Well, at least with the player's call, I sort of do another one of those kicks to the shield. I imagine we're standing in some sort of staircase. Maybe falls backwards, hits his head on a few steps.
Well, essentially, the first 2 you attacked, the maneuver's so good,
Yeah.
you take them out of the combat.
Yeah. Well, that's what I meant with the player's call. Like,
Yeah.
he falls back and hits his head. Then with the rest, it's the same. So
Right, so the shield adds to his defensive skill. So his melee weapons defense is 12, so please give me the same total from the number, but onto your melee weapons.
it should be the same. So
18?
Yeah.
Which is 5 over, so roll your damage with 1 additional bonus dice.
5. That is. 13
Right.
to both of them.
Well, essentially, what happens? Your maneuver was on 2 of them.
Yeah.
Your player's call on the maneuver, what you described, you essentially in a series of sweeping kicks and trips,
Yeah.
you managed to knock over 2 of them,
All right.
leaving you open to attack the third with your dagger, which you do. It's the attack on the third one isn't as effective. The look of their armor from the outside doesn't look as heavily armored as it obviously is. The impact of your dagger seems to take the wind out of his sails a little bit, but you don't do anything more than just scratch the surface of what is obviously quite thick or relatively defensive plating. But you still do a bit of damage, and more importantly, you do a multi-action. You get a drama card. What are you doing, Skellen? And I'm assuming you're also moving a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. My whole thing had been just to try and get out of there. I forgot. What's it? Is somebody being attacked by some of these policemen?
Oh, you have been. However, the 3 that were attacking you are now either on the ground, seemingly out of the fight. There's one left standing, who Ariel has just essentially come up with some kind of knife fighting technique, holding a knife backwards and has struck forwards, scratched his armor, but he doesn't appear to be able to get the wherewithal to do anything in a defense. You think you've got quite a few seconds before he does anything, and that was thanks to Ariel's stun.
Okay, well, I want to try and get Ariel out of here. I'm going to do a multi-action, I guess, just because.
Well, Ariel ran as well, so she's essentially moving away from you quite quickly towards the exit.
Don't forget, we've got extra speed.
Yep, you can do essentially your run is up by 1, or your move is up by 1. Your run is up by 3 because of the bonus dex.
To count my.
Doesn't matter. You got over 10, and they wouldn't have gotten an additional bonus dice on the attack.
Okay.
Because you got 5 more, but you needed to get 10 more to get a bonus dice. Another one.
So, okay, well, what I'd like to do is cast Ward Enemy on Ariel and run. It's running part of my action anyway.
That would, but if you're running, that is an action in and of itself. Movement doesn't. Running, when you move up to 3 times your movement, that counts as an action. So that would be your multi-action. So just give us the you're getting a -2 because you're doing that on your miracle. So faith versus difficulty number 10. You're up this round, so you automatically roll again and add to that. That's what up does. Doesn't ever count as a mishap on the second roll though. You're currently on a 6, which would only give you a bonus number of -4, which probably, I don't know, what's your faith?
I'm going for it anyway, so that's a possibility on that. So it's at least a 10, so that gives me a 15, which is +2.
What's your faith?
On the faith is 13.
Well, you did well, because if you hadn't spent the possibility, you would have gotten a 9, and the difficulty is a 10.
That's 16, not 15, by the way.
You're correct. Yeah, which gives you a bonus number of 3. Yep, 5, 10, 15. Yep.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, because it counts as a 10 at least.
Thank you, guys.
Okay,
Next
so bonus
one.
number of 3. So what's that added to your faith? And then 2 off for the multi-action.
Sorry, what was that?
So your faith total plus the bonus number of 3, which is what you rolled, but then you subtract 2 because you've done a multi-action.
Alright, okay, so my faith is 13.
So you got a 14 essentially then.
Okay.
Okay, which is enough to do a standard casting. Just so you know, your all allies, you don't cast it on Gaz, you cast it on yourself.
Okay.
All allies within 5 meters add 1 to your defensive values. Okay, but only versus supernaturally evil creatures. So you've blessed people. Might not have impact on everybody in the area, but you've still got that bit, and you can keep it up. You can concentrate on it, and more importantly, you get a card for doing so. Have a drama card. So this round, you might get a breakthrough. Especially since you have a flurry this round,
2
and
turns.
the bad guys, well, some of them, don't get their go. Camille, you're a little bit behind Ariel and Theo at this point, but you can easily disengage from the guy in front of you because you know he's unable to react to you this go.
Alright.
Frankly, at this point, with the flurry, the pause in the action, you could get to the exit this round if you wanted to.
Right. Well, I'm going to run for it then.
Okay, so you're running for it. Your first action, you begin to run for it. What's Theo doing?
Continuing to run for it. I'm
Okay.
keeping an eye on Ariella.
Shot. And Ariel?
Yep, running.
Okay.
Because my enhance lasts for 3 rounds, does the
flurry counts because it's another
extra
entire
round.
action.
right?
No, it would expire. Essentially, you get 2 rounds. So anything that expires after 3, 2 of those would get consumed by a flurry.
Right.
It's an entire extra go in all respects.
So it'll run out after this.
Yeah.
Whole turn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
What's Harlequin doing?
Harlequin. Okay,
I heard Harlequin, but I didn't hear anything else.
I didn't say anything after Harlequin.
Okay,
I was
cool.
thinking Harlequin, because I had an idea and then I read the card and then I went, no, it mightn't work. Is there any do I need to use a card to work out how to use this armor?
You could make just a mind check to attempt to work things out.
I want to do that because I think if my thoughts is this, I'm thinking I may be able to tell the armor to make these people friendly, so the Osprey, the Emperor that's running friendly, so they go, oh, don't chase them. So that's my plan.
Okay.
And probably try and work out how to turn on the shield and all the other stuff. Here we go. Here's your manual, probably. Oh god, it's a terrible roll. I'm going to use a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 18, 5, 9, 15.
Okay. You're looking through. You're able to get something to happen. You can now see, you're looking at the other 3, and you can now see them highlighted, even when their outline of their body is highlighted, even when they're running past other people, when things are breaking in front of you. You're not able to get anything else because the one thing you're starting to notice is that all of the information that's popping up in front of you, it's in Latin. The one thing you do get of certainty apart from that is the guy's gun, did you go to pick it up?
I thought it was still in his holster because he was only had the nightstick in his hand when I took it.
Yeah, but it's on a bandolier that's around. The holster's not part of the arm, so you have to unclip it.
Oh right. Oh yeah. I would have took everything to make me look like him. So I would have took all the stuff.
You've put it on, but the one thing you notice is you put your hand around the holster, and within the armor's visor, when you're looking at the gun, a big warning sign popped up, and you took your hand away straight away. It was like that didn't look good.
Okay.
You're not entirely sure what it was, but that didn't look good. There appears to be some kind of alert pulsing from the shield, but again, the words are in Latin, so you can't work out what it's saying. But you look up and you can see the 3 of them clearly through any clouds, through in the crowd, even to a degree, you can see them through a wall. It's just they're outlined.
Yeah, I'm thinking Judge Dredd as well, I guess.
Very
I
much
can't
so,
do
isn't it?
that. I wish there was a way to learn languages, but I don't know how to do that.
Okay, so that
Okay,
was your
my first. Oh, so the second one
everyone
goes
then.
after.
Yeah, everyone.
I'll
But
go
I
first.
mean, it doesn't have to be in the same sequence. If you want to go first on the second action, you can go first on the second action. As you
Yeah,
see, the three of them as a loose group charging toward the entrance.
I will move towards him because that's basically I can move and action and move, so I'll do that.
Give me a find check.
Find. Oh, God, my God, 4 -4, 6, 7. I'm not using this possibility on this.
Okay. You don't see this until the very last second. Essentially, you're watching them run, and as you're moving off after them, something comes up on the edge of your vision on the helmet. It's a male figure. You can't see any detail, but that is above it in, again, the Latin computer text.
Right.
And it's when you see that you see that also over Ariel's head.
Heretic.
I wouldn't know that.
What's Theo, Camille, and Ariel doing?
Is there anywhere particularly we can head to? Is there a car nearby we can get into to bugger off, or?
Well, you've still got to get out of the amphitheatre yet. You know there are. I mean, as I said, the streets are quite narrow around here, so most people don't actually keep cars in Orange, but a few people do. So you might be able to find a vehicle of sorts.
Okay.
I think it might be best to just disappear into some back streets, or at least that's what I would be trying to do.
Are we still trying to find people? Like Rain and whoever?
You haven't found anyone yet. One of you has an idea where one of the people you're looking for is, but they haven't met up with you to tell you that yet. So yes, you're still looking for people, but you haven't seen anybody in the crowd. Although you couldn't be certain they weren't in the crowd, you haven't seen them in the crowd.
Are we out of the inner bit? So are we?
You're literally, if you do a move this round, doesn't have to be a run, but if you're near actually do a move, you'll be essentially outside the amphitheatre.
Can I do a concentration spell and move, or do I
Yep.
need to like stand still?
No, you can move and do a concentration.
Can I do Pathfinder then to try
You
and
can.
find where Rain is? Do we know Chloe, by the way? Do
Yeah.
any of us?
Yeah, well, you were talking to her earlier. It's a small town. She isn't a local, so you've only encountered, if you were going to encounter, you only encountered in the last couple of days. But certainly this morning, she's looking for somebody as well. Just so happens, unfortunately, the other player character that would be connected with Chloe is the one not being played.
I just wondered, would we actually go look for her or try to find her? But not really, I suppose.
No particular reason you have to at the moment. Don't worry.
Okay. She's going to come back as a cyborg and try and kill us, assimilate us.
Yeah.
Pathfinder then. Divination. Standard. So it's a DN10, it says.
Yep. So if you get a standard one, you'll sense the direction within 50 meters. If you get a good success, you get it within 500 meters. If you get an outstanding success, i.e. you get to generate a total of 20, you'll get it within a range of 1 kilometer.
What will he get?
He will know the direction and distance to an object, location, or being, potentially to within a kilometer.
Right,
Well,
if he's within
what
a kilometer,
less than a
know where he is.
kilometer
Or
away?
500. Right.
What did you get?
That's a 15, so that's +2.
Now one thing to point out, it's a casting time of a minute.
Okay, so not yet.
Yeah, possibly after you. I mean, do your roll because you've got a decent 15. Roll the other bit again, whatever you're doing. But we'll say at this moment in time, because you can cast round to round to round, you're concentrating on doing it.
You could use 2 rounds to get most of it out of the way. So
That's 16 then. So that's +6. So that's a good So is that if he's within 500 meters?
That would be within 500 meters. If you get
And
another
I'll-
4, you'd be within a kilometer.
Is it worth it? Yeah, I want to find him. So yeah. And I presume Orange is small enough that a kilometre will pretty much cover some of it or most of it.
Mm-hmm.
An extra 16, that's 31, 10. Yep, I got 24, so plus 14.
Okay, I'll bear that in mind. Obviously, you're casting for the next few minutes,
Right, next minute.
the next few rounds, sorry. But I'll let you know what happens when there. Camille, are you running as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So all 3 of you are still moving. The 3 of you get outside the perimeter of the amphitheater. There are other people running away at this moment in time. The thing that is immediately apparent to you is about 15 feet away from you to the right, coming out of an alleyway, is the only person who appears to be moving towards the danger. He's a bearded old man in ragged robes, and he charges out of the alleyway and gestures towards you. Hurry, this way, we must flee before the host arrives. And as he says that, you hear a much louder clarion trumpet call from the amphitheater behind you, and the figure he freezes in fear and then gestures for you to come towards him in the alleyway.
You say rush or like Germany something?
No, rushes.
Rushes, okay.
Few seconds after he says that, another look of fear comes over his face as a church policeman pursues you out of the amphitheater. What are you doing, Harlequin?
Was the second policeman me?
You've caught up with them.
Oh yes, I go.
The individual with Hiereticus Reputandus is standing about 15 feet ahead of them, just out of an alleyway, and he appears to be gesturing towards them, but he's frozen as you've come out.
God, I hate it whenever people come along and ruin my ideas. I go to them, I say to them, let us follow this guy. He may know where Rain and I know where Darcy is.
Comes the... Oh no, it doesn't have any kind of electronic voice at this moment in time. So, okay, the church policeman behind you. Camille, that sounds like Harlequin.
Ugly Queen? Is it you?
Yes. But you can call me
Well.
officer.
I will not call you anything.
Just to let you know, if you look at the denounced card, the guy stood to the right with the full body armor. That's what the church police outfit looks like,
Huh.
Cool.
Ooh.
which is what Harlequin's wearing. Do you know this man? Can he be trusted?
I do not know, but he is not one of them.
Quick, we must hurry. If you wish to help, get rid of that armor,
Why?
because they can track you in it.
It's going to take me ages to take it off. It took me ages to get it on.
Into cover, quick. And he gestures you back into the alleyway. Smoke and tear gas continue to emanate from the amphitheater behind you. But the sound of the riot fades into the background as this man guides you through the back streets of Orange to the relative safety of a nearby alley about 3 streets away.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Remember we had a flurry. That means we got 2 actions. We only did the first action, and we're doing this now. Do we get 2 cards over?
Well, I'm about to say you would do, because everyone did do their second actions. But so you do get to put a second card across.
Did I do my second? Okay.
Yeah. because that was the second running. You caught up with them, and then there was the moving out again. But yeah, you can put all cards across. However, combat ends. You put all your cards back in your hand.
I hit you. You know how many cards I've got?
Kerry, are you there?
Do we have to reduce?
No, that's only at the end of an act.
Okay.
Hello, sorry.
That's okay. You've been quiet for a while. Okay, you have a choice here. Do you wish to remain quiet for slightly longer, possibly the remainder of this session, but slightly, for narrative reasons, or would you prefer to get back involved now and we have a different narrative?
I think it's best you continue with the majority. I mean, I'm also kind of preoccupied with it.
Yeah, I know you're preoccupied, but just to let you know, you fade in and out of consciousness for an undetermined amount of time. The first time you manage to open your eyes, it's just dark, but you can feel you're moving, but it's a smooth, gentle movement. And then whatever they've drugged you with, you fall unconscious again. The second time, you come to consciousness and you open your eyes, but you can't see anything. It's not dark. You think something is covering your eyes. You struggle slightly, but you feel that your arms and legs are restrained. And you can hear a very light, pleasant choral music playing in the background. Imagine elevator music if it was written by a Renaissance composer, like for the Catholic Church, that sort of thing. Light jazz for the religious at heart. You struggle for a couple of seconds, and then you feel a hand on your shoulder, and then a kind female voice whispers, "Shh, shh, calm down, mon cher, calm down, mon cher. You will be at peace soon." And then there's a kts, and you feel drugs entering your system once again, and you go back to unconsciousness. The third time you awaken, again, you've got no idea how much time has passed. You are still restrained. You appear to be on. You can move your head slightly, but I mean your head's restrained as well. But you can move it maybe 2 or 3 inches to the left and right. You're on a gurney. You can only describe it as such. You can see that your torso is strapped down, your legs are strapped down. However, your arms are not at your side. Your arms are stretched out to either side of you, as if in a crucifixion position. You can hear muted noises coming from outside the room you are in. You can't make out what they're saying, but you can hear the sounds of speech. You can hear the sound of some kind of electrical machinery. And then the last thing you hear that I'm describing to you is you hear a clear and loud cry of agonizing pain coming from 3 or 4 rooms away. And that's where we're going to leave you for now.
Good luck.
Did you not want to grab his card before you left?
Yeah, you're still there. Do you want to play a card?
Me?
Well, I've got Inspire card, which allows everyone to choose a possibility or 3 shockback or card, I think. But have you got is it Master Plan card or?
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
that
I thought you had to be in the same in the vicinity to trade.
It doesn't. No, not trading. You can take the card that's last played with Master Plan. So if I play it, you can then pick it up.
Oh, Okay, so I'll pick it up and play it again, and everyone else
Yeah.
can.
So everyone
Well,
gets
Alright.
two.
You pick it up and play it again, and it affects you. At the moment, Gaz's playing of the card won't affect you.
Will it not?
No, because he's not in the same area. But you are correct. The mechanic that enables him to retrieve it from the discard pile is unrelated to location. So he can then retrieve it, and if he wants to, play it on himself.
Is it better to save it then until we're all together?
Yeah. it is.
So
Or be mean, play it now so it affects all of you, and then allow Kerry to save it until later until it affects everybody.
No, I'll
Entirely
I
up to
won't,
you.
I won't play it till Kerry's with us.
Okay.
So it's fine. However, keep your master plan card though, because I've got the inspire card, which is good.
Alright.
If that's all right.
I was thinking about how many possibilities Kerry hasn't played, and how many we have played.
Perhaps
As I
he's
said,
actually using up his possibilities just
might be.
lying on that table.
He might have been. He might have
Still
had a
alive.
number of instances where he's needed them. We'll decide that when he actually comes up. The ragged bearded man that you follow into, as I said, relative safety of an alley about 3 streets away. He has assisted Harlequin in removing the armor.
I got armor.
And he says, you must realize everything the church produces, unless it is tampered with, it constantly communicates to the Godnet. Of course, you will not know about this. Quick. And he gestures, and you're at the final location.
Throw down
Now,
my
you're looking at
phone,
him,
smash it.
throwing down your what?
Phone and smash it.
Okay. Now that you're looking at him, some of you recognize him. Although the mad priest that wandered through town a month or so ago was blind. This individual now has a metal visor sitting across his eyes, and plugs go into sockets at his temple. But his long beard is flecked with grey as it was when you saw him before. And he claimed at the time that he was Father Anonym, which was another reason some of you thought he was a bit nuts, because that's essentially Father Anonymous. And he opens, there are some things I need to tell you. I may not know my own name, but I do know that what is happening here is wrong. I come from someplace else. I know that is hard for you to believe, but just bear in mind what you have seen happening here today. The world I come from, the realm, is called Magna Verita, the virtuous world. It is the birthplace of what you are seeing here today, the cyber papacy. Oh, Harlequin reveals that.
Doesn't seem very virtuous to me.
They have their ways. It is for my sins I must confess. I was what they called a proclaimer. A priest who travels ahead of the crusade.
I thought you were going to say 10,000 miles, I'm sorry.
No, he travels ahead of the crusade and spreads the word of the Lord, the word of God. But over my lifetime, I have served the Pope for my sins many decades. The message of the church, the aim of the crusade, changed. And I now believe Jean Malraux is no longer the vicar of Christ. He has fallen to corruption and spreads destruction rather than salvation. Your friend, this Darcy, she was in the bus that left the amphitheater, yes?
Believe so.
Then she has been taken to the hospital where all those buses are going. You are special. I can see this. You carry your actions and decisions with you. You are a man of God. He gestures towards Theo.
I believe the Lord has placed me in this place at this time to resist this
I think
cruel
he may have
aspect.
done, and I believe that your Lord is closer to the faith that I held as a child than my faith is now. Madame Camille, calm yourself. We have time. We can rescue those at the hospital, but
Oh,
they are at risk. There is very real danger to anybody who accepts the gifts of the cyber church.
what kind of risk?
I do not know the full details, but it is part of what you yourselves are now of. You, Madame Camille, and you are still, how does it say, of your realm, of this place we have brought, the invaders have attacked. That thing that you carry with you, that reality. Hang on.
Forgot his accent. It's okay.
I feel.
That guy, sorry about that. So he continues, you hold your reality with you. Your friends, for one reason or another, I suspect, Ariel, your desire to fulfill your heritage, however dark that may be. Theo, your wish to be with your god closer. Harlequin, I do not know why for you, but some desire within. You have all transcended to accept the reality of Magna Veritas, the cyber papers. And at this point, he gestures to the ports in his head. These devices, they are how the church brings the flock closer to God. It is metal, upgrades placed within flesh. However, if your friends have already been upgraded, it may be physically dangerous to take them outside the influence of the cyber papacy. Father Theo, your Bible, it has changed, yes?
It is now a holographic, but it appears to be the word of God still.
Maybe the words within it are the same as they ever were, but the technology is now of the cyber papacy. If you were to leave and somehow become unable to maintain your mindset, or if you were to place your book down and leave it for a time, it would cease to function. Within your earth, the technology of the cyber papacy will break down after a time. People like yourselves, the word, I try to remember it in the translation in English, knights of the storm night.
Wait,
You
is
are
he speaking
special.
English?
He tries to remember in the French, sorry, isn't it? And what he says is, you are special. You are Tempestat. Oh no, that's Latin. Chevalier de Tempête, Knights of the Storm. You saw the storms to the south? Oui?
Yes.
That was the precursor of the arrival of my reality. And you will see those storms throughout the borders of the realms. They represent the native reality fighting back against the invasion. But it is a border. On one side, the technology and the faith of the cyber papacy holds true. On the other, your own poor earth rules hold true. And those very rules will attempt to stop things that should not work from working. Storm Knights like yourselves can resist that. You have it within you to maintain that link. If your loved ones are not as you are, and it is unlikely they are, your kind are rare. Honestly, I have been, again, for my sins, a proclaimer on many crusades, and never before have I found so many Storm Knights in one place. That alone may be your key to resisting these invaders. But those at the hospital are being baptized in metal. The weakest organs are replaced, and within the reality of the church, this prolongs life. It is a benefice, allows for other enhancements. But outside the church's borders, such advanced machinery fails. So if you wish to flee from here, you must get to them before they are converted. The hospital is a dangerous place, but I may have something that can help.
Oh.
And with that, he reaches behind him, behind a dustbin, and there is a Hessian sack. Now, do not worry. These devices have been neutralized. They will not be trackable by the church. The chips, the controls, the software has been taken out of them. Father Theo's Bible, if you may, and he reaches out his hand to it. Do you hand it to him?
I do.
He takes it off you. His fingers, belying his age, skim across the surface almost faster than you can see. And he does appear, after a couple of button presses, the holographic image of religious text is replaced by something that looks more like traditional code. And he appears to be typing and isolating portions of code, and you can see things getting deleted and added and replaced and removed. And then about 5 or 6 seconds later, he clicks, the thing switches off and then boots back up. And he said, I have removed the tracking software from your Tom.
Merci.
But for the others of you, I have things possibly of more mundane assistance. And he reaches in and he pulls out a large rifle. I think it might be a pistol, actually. Give me a second. He pulls out a gun, anyway. Looks very similar to the guns that the church police were carrying. This firearm they call a god meter, because if the church police have their way, that is exactly what will happen once they start firing it at you. GWI god meter is a... Where's it go? Melee weapons, firearm. Yeah, it's a high caliber and very loud firearm. So yeah, it looks a bit like a big Judge Dredd style gun. Now, bear in mind that this has been hacked, so a majority of its additional controls are switched off. You will not be able to change ammunition type by voice command. In fact, it is limited to the standard features at this point. But to do otherwise, you would not have been able to even fire it, and it would constantly preach the tenets of the cyber church at you. And he offers it to whoever will take it.
We are lucky to have you as our friend. I do not want it. I have my Bible.
Who's
I don't
gonna
think it's any
take
good
it?
for me. Somebody who's better armed, better.
It uses the firearm skill if you're interested.
So it's not energy weapons?
It's not a laser, no.
Okay, in which case I will take it.
I've shared the god meter with you. Just ignore the bit that says, he says, there's unmodified versions can switch to different ammo types based on a voice command. This hacked model cannot do that. He hands out or holds out a meaty looking dagger, and before anyone takes it, he presses his thumb down on the switch and the blade lights up with energy, and then he He switches it off again, and
Man,
Harlequin, and he hands it to you.
take it. What is it?
It's a power dagger. It does strength +1 when switched off, but strength +2 when activated. Essentially, the blade coruscates with energy. And just in case you need something else, I have a couple of these. And he pulls out 3 riot sticks. Again, they look identical to the weaponry that you saw the street beaters using earlier on. He demonstrates their use. Essentially, you can use them powered down as a simple club, which does strength +2, or you can switch on and then do strength +3, and any hit deals an extra shock.
Do I take one of them, or does anyone else want them?
There are 3, so there's enough for all but one of you.
Well, I could take one unless someone. I mean, I already got something, so.
I'm happy to do without, as I'm not a combat person.
Okay, so the father can be handed one, Harlequin can take one, and Camille can take one. If you don't need to take one, he doesn't necessarily insist that you pick on it.
Did you open it up?
Here we go. That's a right stick. And a right stick. A right stick.
Ooh. Red sticks do more damage than the dagger. Ooh, that's weird.
Your loved ones will have been taken to the central hospital. You all know where the central hospital is. It's the main hospital in town. And at this point, you now realise, Gaz, that you're getting a ping, or you got a ping from your spell within a kilometre. Central hospital is within a kilometre, because all you got is a direction. But it confirms that rain is in that direction.
I'll say then I concur that Rain is within the hospital.
If he is anywhere, he is likely to be there.
Are we still in the alleyway?
Yes, you've moved a little bit further away, but you're still. Again, a lot of the streets in Orange could be called alleyways, but this is an actual alleyway between 2 streets, and you're quite shaded.
Well, what I meant is, we still in the alleyway with the armor that I took off?
No, the armor was taken off a couple of streets back.
Oh, okay. I'm just laughing if we were standing right beside it.
Yeah, you're not standing by the armor that they can track you down on, no.
Oh, we head to the hospital? How do we get there? Do they let you walk?
Well, you will have to remain out of sight, but it is, well, you know where the hospital is. It is a walking distance away.
Yes, no, what I was asking is, can we drive there? Do they ban cars? I don't know.
No, cars are allowed. It is an advanced technological society. I do not know if cars are appropriate for most of the streets of Orange. I've only been here a month or so. But I would recommend staying hidden as much as you possibly can. Your face, Ariel, as you saw, they already have. And I suspect that simply by being associated with her, the rest of you will already be on the church systems.
Oh, they didn't see me. I'm okay.
Probably Harlequin. You are right. You are probably the only person who they do not currently have the information on. Although a record of your DNA will be in the church systems by now.
Wait. You could have told me to burn the damn suit.
No. It would have done that the instant you put it on. Did you not notice the warning messages telling you that interloper detected, information systems shutting down, and sample sent to church central records?
Did it say it in French?
No, it would be in Latin. Most church information is.
How can you learn Latin very fast?
You cannot learn it fast. You can learn it.
Well, I thought you said you were technologically advanced. I thought we could have some way of making people learn languages fast.
You can, but it would require cybernetic systems to implant a skill chip within, well, somewhere near your cerebellum or near your cortex. And I would not recommend getting anything like that installed within a church facility. Still, you must hurry.
How far is a kilometer, by the way?
1,000
Okay.
meters. It's within a kilometer.
Yeah, but think I know miles. I don't know meters at all, unless I start thinking about it.
2.6. I can never remember the conversion. 2.6 kilometers to a mile.
No,
No, I think
1.6.
it's
1.6. I knew the
1.6,
0.6.
Was about 1,000 miles?
No, 1.6
No.
kilometers to a mile.
Oh, okay.
It's
Just
bit
over
over
1.5
half a mile.
kilometers is 1 mile.
Guess you're about a mile away then. Okay.
take about 15 minutes to
About
get
2/3 of a mile away.
She's all said that at the
to
start instead of
sneak
making
there.
me do
15 minutes to
calculations.
sneak there.
Okay. Can we want a stealth then?
I would recommend it.
I meant
I
should we
will not
do the
accompany
rolls?
you. My face is known to the church. I am a wanted criminal. I suspect that your visor would have told you that. Of course, it is in Latin. You wouldn't know. But I am a branded heretic. I plan to see if I can find other people of your sort. It is my one hope that this, from what I know, your reality is very powerful. He addresses this to Camille. More powerful than any the invaders have found before now. It is why they are invading your world in concert, en masse, multiples across the planet. It would not be within the capacity of one to be able to simply fight off your core Earth powers. They would, the planet itself would have rebuffed them and driven them back.
I knew it could not be a coincidence.
So
Let's see.
I will
So-
look for more. If you survive this, I would advise you, I do not know exactly where, but I would advise you to try to head for the places in your world that have the strongest spiritual power. Not necessarily a church, but somewhere that is iconic for
Lord.
your people, iconic for your way of life. Symbols are powerful. They will hold on to your reality in the same way that you are able to. And again, he addresses this to Camille.
Well, I am guessing that the amphitheater was not long enough.
No, it is old. Age somehow does it. But you will know when you get there. But still, Ariel is correct. You must hurry, please.
Do we need to roll?
Well,
Who's been leading us?
yep. Give us a group stealth. So again, the majority of you succeeding is enough for the group to succeed.
I did my stealth roll.
Oh, crap. What's the target number?
Well, it's stealth, so there's not a particular target number because it's the perception of things what might be looking for you. So it's an opposed perception at this moment in time.
I'll spend
Oh.
a possibility.
Well, it's,
You're looking at 10s at the moment.
Yeah, I still have a 10,
Okay.
even with -4. So, wait.
Can Father Tanalion make a stealth roll, please?
You still here?
Is this me?
Yes. Father Theo. I just thought I'd use your surname.
Ah, that's what
Tenellion.
that confused me. Sorry. Oops.
Ooh. That's okay. It's not a casting mishap.
Can I spend a possibility?
You can't, unfortunately, because it's a 1. There's nothing can get rid of a mishap.
Oh well, that'll teach me.
However, at least 2 of you, well, 3 of you, one got a 16, one got a 17, one got a 10, which is enough. And Father Theo, what's your stealth -10? Probably less than 0.
Stealth -10. Yeah, it's less than -3.
It's negative. Luckily, however, you are able to keep an eye on the father as he stumbles, making noise, and you shut him up and deal with things. And you are able to make your way to the Clinique d'Orange relatively safely. There was a couple of points where small blue cherubim zipped overhead, but did not seem to spot you. You approach the hospital. It is looking a lot shinier and newer than the last time any of you were in the small local hospital facility. There is a massive hovering tank in the car park and a squad of church police around it. They don't appear to be turning people away. If anything, they appear to be encouraging people to go inside. And from a distance, you can hear them telling people to go inside, await processing. Church orderlies will be with you shortly. If there are, you can see people with injuries, probably from the riot, being brought in by emergency service personnel as well. There is a banner projecting holographically from the front of the building in bright neon letters announcing, "Please pardon the mess. We're upgrading." However, the thing that shocks you most against all of that is perched on top of the roof, like some predatory stone vulture, is a stone grey gargoyle, much like the ones that you'd see adorning cathedrals. However, this one appears to be looking down into the street, and its head is moving left to right, methodically and mechanically, scanning the crowd. What are you all doing? You're off to one side, so you've not entered via the parking lot area. You've got a direct route directly into the hospital, or you could go around a side entrance trying to avoid things. It's up to you.
I'd say we take the side entrance.
Me too. I might be core earther, but I'm heroic in a different way with this guy.
Hey, doesn't these hospitals have like back entrances? Or
They do indeed.
Or under exits? Right. So what we do is we get one of these trolleys, we put Arlene in it and cover her, because I don't think the things can see under people.
The big thing to the right is the tank, which actually has emblazoned across it GWI Samson in some kind of corporate emblazoning.
Not in Latin?
No, that's not in Latin. Some of you have been to the hospital before, so you know the basic layout. The main entrance is clearly indicated. Above the waiting area is where the gargoyle is perched.
Let's go to the emergency entrance and.
Well, that's probably. I'm thinking more. Well, there's a few others that we might be able to get into.
Yeah, you know, there's the emergency entrance, and there's a couple of side entrances that you're familiar with.
What about like the lower back entrance?
What, beneath B3?
B3.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you'd have to sneak to get round there, but by all means, you can do so.
Okay.
Just don't let Theo roll.
No.
Can do something to help us here, but where's your dice rolls?
Whoa!
Son of a bitch. He's got a glowy card. Quick.
That's a
Oh,
57.
Oh, you're 3 short.
But he hasn't spent a possibility yet.
Possibility.
well, has anyone got a glory card?
You're out of combat right now, so it can be played from your hand.
Oh, can it? Because that means I can play a
Somebody was
card on
given a
him.
glory card.
Oh no, it has to be a roll.
That's a roll. He's making a stealth check right now.
No, I can't do. You can't give a supporter card to him to add 3 to make it 60. So
No, it's got to
it has
be on
a
the
roll.
it's got to be on the roll.
That's what I said. Misunderstood.
Right. Well, I'll play my drama card. That gives me a possibility, right?
It does indeed. Theo has a glory card.
Well, it doesn't matter what it is.
Play your glory card, Theo.
Glory card. Yeah. Oh, I can play it directly out of my hand.
Yes.
Yeah, because you're not in combat at the moment, so you
Ah.
don't have to play it from the pool.
Okay, glory 36 it is then.
Okay.
Again, I've forgotten.
Essentially, those of you that don't know Camille, to the rest of you, she just is this rather posh looking older French lady. Stylish, certainly. But it seems that as you approach and you start to decide where you're going, it's as if something clicks and her demeanor changes from one of like a stylish French older matron to that of literally of a cat. She becomes graceful. She moves with a silent, skilled, experienced gait that is, I mean, to you, Harlequin, it's a wonder to see. You knew Camille had a professional past, but you had no idea that she was essentially the French version of the Pink Panther.
Cool.
Because that's exactly who Camille is. She was essentially, and still is, a highly qualified cat burglar and jewel thief. You do notice she does wear quite a lot of jewellery, but at this moment in time, it appears to have all been put away somewhere. Over the next few minutes, she proceeds to case the place and monitors all of the patrolling guards and guides you all across unseen to her entrance of choice. Which entrance are you going in?
Well, I mean, we are heading for the operating room. It would be closer to, if we're not going to be seen anyway. The one left of the waiting area would be better, I think.
Beneath the double doors or the single one beneath B3? So you've got the double doors above A1 or the single door beneath B3?
Yeah, the one above A1 is possible.
So you go through the double doors. You
Assuming
approach,
Assuming we don't get seen by the gargoyle.
and you do not. You don't get seen by your own shadows at this point. You've slipped right back into it. It's like a warm, welcoming overcoat you've not put on for some time, and it's comfy. So comfy, and you've missed this. By the time you get to the door, from somewhere, you don't know where, Camille has produced a pair of thin silk gloves that she has put on without being seen, and they are absolutely perfect and without a single wrinkle or crease or blemish. And you get to the door, and you don't even need to try it to know that it's locked. You have a choice now. You can practice another one of your skills, or you can allow the younger generation to prove their worth to you.
Before that happens, can we have the glory, please?
Can indeed. Because the story of this will spread. Does everyone remember what a glory card does?
One extra
No.
possibility, and you all get
Everyone
a card.
gets a possibility, and you all get to draw a destiny card, and your hand size is now up to 5. Not that it matters because you're not going to refresh down.
Eh.
So everyone gets a possibility, and Theo, you get a willpower card. Harlequin, you get a leadership card. Kerry, you're still going to get this because it affects the area. You still there?
He could be forgiven if he isn't.
He could be. But he gets a supporter card, which I will add to his. He gets another supporter card. Camille, let's see if you get something appropriate. You get another glory card.
Hooray.
And Ariel, you get another glory card as well. So, who's opening the door?
Does it look like just a normal
I will try to
lock?
open the door, I think.
It is a reasonably secure hospital door. This does appear to be an emergency exit style, but it is certainly locked. You knew this without even looking at it.
Do you have any lockpicking skill, Miss Burglar person?
Of course she does, but she's giving you the opportunity to stretch your wings.
Okay.
Don't embarrass yourself.
Don't talk to me when I'm rolling dice.
He needs to concentrate.
I can play cards out of my hand. Is that right? That's not
Yeah,
right?
you're out of combat.
Do I need to
Tell
know
you-
the difficulty of this, or
Not at the
do I
moment, but I can
just-
tell you without doubt, Mill's better at it than you are, but you don't want to let her know.
No, what I was asking is, do I need to know the difficulty of this, or do I just make it up and then you tell me if I feel it?
You are looking at locks of. This is a side door. This is difficulty 15.
Okay, I'm using an action card. Get another roll. My action card's not a roll, is it? Damn it. Wait a minute, I
Nope.
put the cards up.
Take your action card back if there's not the one you're using.
Actions, I can't look at the card. Where is it? There it is. It is +3.
Yeah, actions +3 to the it's +3 to the result. So if you rolled what you got, a 14, that's a 1. We'll add 3 to give you a 4.
12. Okay, I'll take that because it gives me 16. Said it was a 15, didn't he?
Okay, you step up. You're midway through the process when you suddenly notice that this lock's already had some kind of upgrade. You quickly adjust and manage to trick the lock without setting off any alarms. And you place your hand under what remnant of handle is on this side, and you pull it open. Those of you who've been at the hospital before find the internals themselves very much different. While there aren't any in the immediate corridor, you can see the evidence of technicians working at here. Tiles from the drop ceiling have been removed, and you can see hanging wires and bundles of glowing cables. I mean, they are literally glowing cables. They look like they might be like digital optical cables, but possibly somewhat thicker. Again, at this moment in time, you can't see any staff, but you can see a couple of pegs where uniforms are against the wall off to your right, so off to the left, and they look a bit more like nuns' habits, albeit in blue, than nurses' uniforms or doctors' uniforms. The offices ahead of you are currently unoccupied, but there is office equipment within them. And with you stepping in to the hospital or the Clinique d'Orange, we will leave it there for this evening, as you have a choice of where to go.
Well, I think it go towards the screaming would be the best bet. You said there
Well,
was...
you can't hear any yet.
Oh.
Kerry heard some screaming earlier. You're not entirely sure where
Is,
Chloe is.
is my spell still working?
I don't think it's constantly updating.
I can, because I can concentrate, don't I, to keep it going.
Let me just double check. Pathfinder range. Yes.
Different keys.
Now that you're in here, let me just double check something.
Points directly down towards.
It is heading, or giving you an indication, to your left, down the corridor.
Well, that's nice. That's easy.
Okay.
5 rooms down there.
There's the exam rooms as well, if you can't remember.
Now, how many floors is this hospital got?
It's only the one floor.
Oh, it's only,
It's only it's a local clinic, essentially.
Okay. I was picturing like the big American.
I will inform them, or at least I'll tell Theo. Rain is this way, and then start heading off down the corridor.
Okay, well, that's where we're leaving it for tonight.
Per
Thank you very much, Joe.
Kerry. Kerry got 1 minute of activity and then got knocked out.
That's
Well,
alright. He's got important things to be dealing with.
Yeah.
Well, he's talking to the curbs and telling them all our battle plans right now.
And he's here, or she's here. I'll tell you that anyway.
That should have been Alexander's role, that one.
The baby?
Now you'll find Alexander's character, or if he does it, the last character is useful, particularly in the next scene.
Does it involve
You're
a
currently
tank?
in
Train.
scene 2. You're in Baptism by Metal is scene 2. Just to let you know, scene 1 was called Orange Sky.
I wonder if anyone. Do you know the